All right, my friends, we are back with the grad show. Yeah, I gotta play Blitz after. Gotta play Blitz after the grad show. You know? Yeah. So, um, dude, I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm angry. I feel like I am a political moderate, but like certain things, dude, there's just like, man, freaking hell, dude. How dumb do you have to be? All right, let it go, Jesse. Let it go. Let it go. All right. So, yesterday we did through to the people who graduated into the 1000s. So, today we have quite a few. And my normal thing is I like to start at the top. So, and I think being better at chess is in the chat. At least he was before. Maybe he was disappointed by the level of my blitz and the just general tone of the whole situation. But I just want to stress when you try to get higher when you're past 1,000 and start going up, it just gets harder and harder. And for me, the most inspirational climbs are when somebody does epic amounts of work like that. So being better at chess, long time dojo work, 326 dojo points, that is a lot of work. That is a lot of work. Let's read what he says. Process of annotation and the prospect of being accountable to others for my play has had a large impact on the consistency of my play since I joined the dojo. I've always struggled more with the mental side of the game and playing slowly enough, and knowing that I have to write notes on the game afterwards and potentially explain myself to all these dudes and many others has helped me massively in this regard. Beautiful thing to say. And the word that I will stress there is the word responsibility. Like, it's possible to play chess. Most people do play chess without a sense of responsibility. So, for example, when I was playing Blitz just now, I want no sense of responsibility at all, dude. But even longer games, it's possible to be this like, I don't know, screw it, and that helps create impulsive decisions. But if you're like, okay, I'm going to think about this and I know I'm going to be thinking about it later, you're going to play better moves. All right, so let's look at being better at chess. As again, every graduation is amazing, but when you crank it for a very long time, as being better in chess has, it's a special deal. All right, so father of two, played throughout PhD, Ireland, okay, and he gets a minimum of about 9 to 14 OTB in a year. Less good about OTB, sometimes managing 5 or 6 weekenders in a good year and 0 to 1 in others. Had a couple coaches at different times since the start of the pandemic. One of them, Vlad Chess, is also in the dojo. Okay, great. He works in IT, lifts some weights, plays chess. Okay, great. The main Irish Championships, full week 9-rounder for 1,900 plus players at least once, and make it onto my club's Division 1 team on merit rather than as a super sub. Okay, those are beautiful goals, man. Yeah, beautiful goals. As you can see, dude, it's just like been consistently working at it. And, 1904. He's gone up. I mean, that's dojo right there, man. That's dojo. And you can also see this is a dojo 1.0er, so someone who's been here for a very long time. The dojo is for everybody, but in a lot of ways, the core of the dojo was like somebody, an adult, imagine, who hasn't made it to the next level but really wants to give them a structured program and community where they can make it. And dude, I mean, this is it, because sometimes, especially when you get higher like this, it takes a while. It takes a while. All right, beautiful tactics rating, though only he's done one test each over here. Okay. Otherwise, this all looks pretty good. It says not so much on games analysis. We'll see. That might be because he's already graduated in the next cohort. So first, let's see clubs. I know there's an Irish club you can join. Games. And here we go. So, let's do the top one. This was played very recently. Let's see if we got clocks. We do. So one of the things that we've seen is that the higher rated players, such as being better at chess, are using their time better, right? And one of the things that you can see in this graph, we haven't looked at the decision yet, but here this was clearly what he felt was a critical decision right here, and a huge chunk of time was spent. And sometimes that's very necessary to do. His opponent, we'll see how it goes, but it looks like they kind of lost their intellectual mojo, right? All right, this is beautiful. Let's go back to the game. And Mark has reviewed. This game was played in round 9. These leagues that they have in Europe, by the way, absolutely amazing. Also, one of the things about responsibility, too, is what being better at chess did is he wrote down the times on at least most of these moves. It's an over-the-board game, so he has to write it down, the score sheet, input it. Yeah. All right, here we go. Now, I just a dumb question. I'm assuming that in chat, being bad at chess is the same person as being better at chess. Just correct me if I'm wrong there. Okay, so fine. A London player is going to London. Absolutely, that's very true. Okay, so Queen B6, good. I think this is fine. And the drama with Queen C2 is they have to figure out Bishop F5 then. So here we go, boom, boom. The first, I think you're doing great. And this is funny with this Knight A3 move, actually, because I had a student back in the day who loved doing, he had this all figured out. Now, the weird thing is, here's the question. Is White already in trouble? Okay, so to me, the basic question is, are you able to achieve B5, B4? And the normal way to stop it would be Knight D2, A3, and you got to move your rook, so that's 3 tempi. But imagine Knight D2, B5 right away. You don't have, but he doesn't have time. E4, E6. So this is already a very difficult situation for White, I think. Okay, so I think what this means is he's out of book with Knight A3. He's got Knight F3 in his files. What I don't understand about Knight F3, he gives Bishop F5 as a small advantage for Black, but also just E6 because you can't stop. He can't stop it now. He's not in time. Okay, that looks strong. And then you're talking about Knight B5. And Knight D5 is definitely weird. And then we analyze Bishop E5. And then, I don't know, that's just a nice position. And then Knight B5. Your same Rook A5 move. Yeah, it still looks crushing. So wait, let me figure this out. Why, is there a reason why, I mean, it's obviously in trouble, but so far we're saying that DE is worse than Bishop E5 because the bishop is poor on F4, but your knight is also a little bit funky too, right? All right, the position looks bad for white in any case. Bishop f5 looks fine. Rook a3 also, yeah, you're definitely better. I think this is a good try. You just took it like a madman, though. You were like, I don't care. I don't care. Okay. Knight e7. The dust is settled after the opening. Now I feel, and black is comfortably better. Part of me wants to believe that white isn't totally without hope. Okay, so he plays bishop e2. I would say that more interesting would be f3, followed by g4, and to try to gain some space and counterplay on that side of the board. Black, obviously black is better, but white needs counterplay. The thing I don't understand about bishop e2 is, isn't the rook going to land on a2, and then isn't that bishop just a target, right? All right, let's read about castles. This is just lazy. There is nothing wrong with king d7. One of the things about this, actually, is we've talked a lot on this show, actually, very similar moves, where we've had people undevelop their kings like this, right? And very important to see, like, we don't know exactly how this game's going to go down. And I still like black's position after castles. But the black king will be needed to help hold those queenside pawns together and advance them. Okay. Just a little note. I think when we say double question mark, it should really be reserved for moves where you have blundered something massive. And what you're doing with double question mark, right, is you're like beating yourself up, right? And maybe you deserve to be beat up a little bit, but it's not a double question mark. All right, here we go. Simple chess, good. Bishop f3. Okay, yeah, maybe it's a little uncomfortable. Okay, you don't like it. All right, so let's talk about it. White has a simple idea of bishop g5. You want to play... this is really annoying, isn't it? Yeah, I don't believe in e6. But you're saying king f8. I thought in the game that this should also be good enough in the end. Okay, but it's not over for the variation because he goes here. And then what do we do? Right? What, bishop e4? Well, because see, anytime we leave this diagonal, we're going to get rook fb1. And at the minimum, there's going to be some compensation. So let me just say it's now very complicated, and this would be the point in the analysis to go really deep on a move like king f8, right? Because h6 is certainly very plausible. but we want to see if king f8, like, what are we going to do after bishop g5? Are we, maybe we're not better anymore. That's a hard thing for me to believe, but maybe. It's very hard for me to believe. Yeah, it's a real bummer all of a sudden, isn't it? I get it. So one of the things we saw was it was right around this period where black started to really tank. And I still completely believe in black's position here. Now let's look at this fe6. Even down in exchange, I think there are things to like about black's position. Well, this one would be good to analyze a little further. Because this looks like maybe you're just winning. B5 is going to come, and it's going to be a monster. Like, I don't see many other ideas for white than playing e4, but then, of course, this thing's weak. So this looks massive. You played rook a2. Snip, that was terrible. And notice what happened. He played it in 30 seconds. And you write rook a2, bishop d6, snip, bishop e6. Good move. And then bishop b4. And here also I would encourage you to do some analysis here, because it's not, I don't know where that bishop's going to go. Honestly, I think bishop b4 isn't it because it's unstable due to rook b2. In general, he wants to play for e4, d5. So like sample variation could be, see, if I go bishop g3, I'm concerned that king d5 is going to mess with me. And it's just going to be a race of who can get play first. So for example, bishop g3, if b5, maybe you could do it, but now it's going to get a little hot because the bishop is going to work with the pawns. You should still maybe be winning this thing. But the thing that I'm concerned about is bishop g3, king d5, and then how do I make progress? You know, meanwhile, this is happening. And in a lot of ways, one of the cool things to say about the castling mistake is here you can see white has developed your king for you. From the complications, dude has developed it for you. So then maybe bishop e5. I still think we just, you know, it's just a race, so we're not going to mess with it. It's still maybe like this, you know. That's a little hot. It's a little hot. Yeah, it's somehow dude can trade off his bishop for those pawns. Okay, terrible move, ef7. Passive. And now you spent 15 minutes. I spent 15 minutes on probably the most obvious move. I spent it mostly trying to decide between b5 and throwing in g5 first. One of the things I would be kind of freaked out by, like, is I would just be like, Baus, what are you doing? Well, I got to think about what he's doing because I don't understand what he's doing. He's just setting himself up to get rolled here. That's easy enough chess. I don't think it's necessary, though. You could play bishop e4, couldn't you? Totally winning. Maybe you're worried then about snip snop and then rook b1? Maybe. In any case, your move is probably good enough. Simple chess, I like it. I don't know what he's doing. And Now G6, you spent 14 minutes. Now G6 is a weird move. Let me just see if I can understand this. I spent forever on this move because I couldn't decide on how was best to pass here, more or less. I want white to be tempted by the bishop takes d5 sack. I don't understand. So you talk about king e6. Any other moves? Talk about bishop d3. That makes a lot of sense to me. I don't see how he lives through that. It's toast. Now, the good news is I don't think he can do anything. I think that's true. He probably can't do anything after this move. It's weird because g4 on his part would force bishop d3. Here he comes. Very nice that you saw it coming. Simple chess. Simple chess. Very nice. Nice arrows too. All right, he's totally done. I don't understand g5, but it's unnecessary. You know, rook d1 or something. Yeah, you're slaying him. Here you should resign. Beautiful. That was a great game. And in some ways, a example of how to slay somebody in the London. Because he played dogmatically. He played dogmatically over here. And knight f3 is, of course, the right move. But then they have to be prepared for a line with queen d6 where maybe they lose, you know, have to sack a pawn. Okay, great game. And being better at chess. Congratulations, Stu. That was amazing. And now, if we go back to your profile, you wanted to play the 1900 plus situation. And there you go, dude. You said that was your goal. And I don't understand the tournament, but it sounds like that you can do it once you're 1900 plus. So that's awesome, man. That's amazing. Okay, boom. Next up, we have Silver. Silver also has graduated, but been here for a while. Give him a follow. Silver has never logged anything. He logged some endgame stuff maybe ages ago. So I don't know what's going on with Silver. See? And a lot of, well, I don't know. We don't know what's going on with Silver. We don't know. All right, next up, we have Exagem. Took a week break of chess, returned more focus. I did a tactics puzzles that I did not record here. Started reading more into evaluate like a grandmaster. Okay, good. So here he is. Looks like that's evaluate like a grandmaster right there. This little spot of blue. Otherwise, he hasn't done too much. But look, he's not there. 1727 isn't it? Okay. So Exagem, maybe you hit it briefly and then you fell it. I don't know. In any case, yeah, you're not actually there yet. Sometimes it can be confusing. Remember, we had to create a rating system which translated across all of these different kinds of rating systems. Okay, great. Stefan says, catching up on graduations. Okay, let's go look at Stefan. British summertime. Okay. And he's got a nice FIDE rating, which is very similar to his ChessCom rating. And an ECF rating, where I guess he just, scored a recent tournament where he just blazed up. I would say, too, here, Stefan, that it's probably time for you to start thinking about using either your FIDE or your ECF to do your preferred rating system. Just because when you get up here 17, 1800, for one on that chess.com, dude, I can tell you, you get to 1957 on chess.com, That's so many cheaters. Now, if you play Dojo, it's true. You could play, some longer games in like the Dojo round robin and yada yada. Actually, let's take a little aside here for a second. We'll go look at tournaments. Round robin. First, I have a student waiting. He's been waiting forever, dude. There's Jamil. He's been waiting forever for this tournament to start. And then I think you would be 17, 1800, right? There's Stefan, dude. Maybe that's him right there, Digital Chess. Okay, that might be him. So, let's go back a second. I don't know if it's the same Stefan. In any case, that would be, if you're going to use ChessCom Rapid, that would be the thing to kind of tournament to play, maybe with a DGT board or something like that. Okay, let's take a look around. Clubs, nothing. Games, we got a couple. So, let's look at this one. This is very, oh no, these are ancient games. These are ancient, dude. What's going on? What's going on, Stefan? This is from 2019. Oh, and it's very fast. Here, I'll show you the time graph here. So, Stefan, I think we should probably save this for another time, if you're watching, where we would want you to play some games, more recent to look at, I feel like that's pre-pandemic isn't going to be that helpful for us to think about what's going on in your game. Okay, but congratulations, Stefan. Hopefully we want to see some more games and some more things on the scoreboard. One of the things I don't understand, maybe somebody has a theory out there. I have a little bit of a theory, but when you go up in the dojo, you have people who are in the dojo, but like maybe they're doing their own thing. A lot of them I feel who are higher rated are too proud to look at their games, right? It's too hard for them to look at their games. In any case, here we go. This is Alex Blake. Boom. Playing regularly at club level. Okay. I just let me just add just chess history question. We've been talking about club level for years. And I don't know quite what that means. We've been saying that for years, though. Maybe in the U.S. we call that a class player, so someone below 2,000. I don't know. And they have these designations on books. It's a little bit of a marketing thing. This is for the club player, or this is for the tournament player. I don't know. Because, you think about clubs in Europe, really great, and those clubs, they're a lot of times very professional. Where they run the whole gamut from beginner to professional players. Okay, in any case, Alex is crushing it. 1754, the English rating. Hasn't done any of this tactics stuff. So let's go see. We got the UK Dojo. We got some games. And this looks like this was played last year. Let's take a look. By the way, if I'm going to cover if you are in the grad show and are watching the chat, let me know. This does not have any clocks going on. So, there's some annotations here. Here we go. This is our champion. Oh, by the way, this particular move order, David Pruess has a whole course out on this now. And this Queenie 2 is such a fancy new move. Look at that dirty trick, huh? So, he's all playing theory. And I would say he's a little bit better here. And that probably, although bishop d6 is a natural move, it's probably a little bit of a mistake. Because now d4 is possible. If you play bishop e7, maybe a little easier for him to play. Queen c7, and now c3. I'm not sure about c3. He has the times written down, by the way. He just didn't put them in the by the way, before we had the time graph, I would do what he's doing. I would just write it in the annotations, and it would be so much less satisfying because I never had a time graph to look at. So c3 I don't get because dude is going to play c5 anyway. And so I would call this a critical position. And you have several moves that make a lot of sense to me. Bishop f4, bishop g5, rook e1. And we have to get ready for c5 because that's the intention of this queen c7 move. All right, I don't understand knight d5. I think in general, black should be playing for c5 followed by b6, bishop b7. So this looks like a waste. Queen h5, probably. The very simplistic move here would be rook e1. That looks poor. Okay, fancy. I'm not sure about this. Bishop d3. If you just retreat, you have a nice position. You're going to play rook e1. You're going to do your thing. So bishop d3, you're sacking a piece. I don't know. It's not clear to me this is a good thing. So he says, spent so much time calculating on hg6, I completely forgot to calculate fe5. Let's see your analysis, because I'm a little confused. Why isn't black totally fine after queen g7? That's what I don't understand. So, and then on knight g6, rook f7 we don't want to do. There's rook d8 and all this stuff, but isn't black also completely fine on queen h7? Seems so, right? So even if you missed, so it seems like you misevaluated that. Again, you made it too complicated on yourself. Now, we got to do some analysis here. To me, it looks like somebody's hanging their coconuts. So, all right. So here we go. So here's our position. Dude plays bishop h6. I got a lot of questions here. What's wrong with rook f6? That would be a very simple question for me. I don't know. Okay, so he takes, snip, b4, okay? Now, could black have played now queen h7? It looks like an exclamation to me. So the point was we couldn't play bishop e7 because this would be mate. And here, see, when you take and I take, I'm tagging the bishop, and if you take, my bishop survives with bishop f8. So this is how you play good chess, my friends, by analyzing. And now who knows what's happening? Now I guess we're going to have to say white is winning. No, excuse me, black is up a piece. What am I saying? Oh, he's up a piece, what? Bishop d2, I don't understand. Don't we want to play f4? All right, so, yeah, people were moving too fast in this one, it's obvious. All right, so a lot of moves too fast, and white resigns. So, couple things. The siren song of theory, you get to this kind of position, and you still have to play good moves. Bishop d6 probably inaccurate, but he's setting up this c5 thing, which I don't even know if he understands. And then that's terrible. And then that's terrible, but here you just need to be normal. You don't need to be a genius here anymore, right? I guess that's my 2 cents here. And if you're going to play bishop d3, well, obviously, you need to do some big calculation before before you play bishop d3. And you write about it, actually. You say knight f3 right here. You said knight f3. This looked very solid, but not very optimistic. Well, I think it's very optimistic. He's got troubles now that are long-term. They are long-term problemitos and casitos, and we can play simple chess. Okay, great. So, let's move on. That was Alex Blake. And next up we have Kavutskiy. My first graduation, but working on the right stuff, work thanks to the dojo. Even if it was a lot of work, no de bene, 184, that's a lot. I think playing longer games and analyzing really helped. Thanks to the dojo, I started OTB last year, which is super fun. Nice. Okay. So here's Kavutskiy. Aus Deutschland. Wow. Queen's Gambit generation. 15 years later, reignited. YouTube and way too much bliss. Then I joined the dojo. Nice. As a former power lifter, I like seeing numbers go up. So my long-term goal is to reach 2,000 OTB, even if it takes years. That's beautiful. I have a friend at the gym. He just calls it number go up. Number go up. And, you know, with our training plan, we're kind of like, we want to even do like a more powerlifting kind of thing where we just tell you exactamundo what to do every day. Yeah, ChessDojo. I don't know if that's David in the chat or Kostya, but it's true. And by the way, ChessDojo, you want to come join me, dude? You want to come join me for a little bit? Yeah, you should come join me. Now, Kavutskiy is doing a bunch of stuff that's non-dojo, so maybe we'll just take a quick look and see what is it that he's doing. Well, that part looks good. By the way, he did 356 hours. This is all the cohorts, though. And he's only graduated once, though, so this is the real deal. So this is the old non-dojo category. Okay, makes sense. No, looks okay. I don't know what is, maybe we'll go recent activity because he's doing all these non-dojo things. All this is fine. All right. Oh, I don't understand. So when I go up here, though, maybe this was these ones. He's doing custom endgames and stuff, custom tactics. Okay, in any case, let's go see if we got a game here. And this is going to be FM, probably not that kind of FM. And game 4 of the tournament. Beautiful. All right, first, do we have a time graph? We do, look at that. First thing we want to say, Kavutskiy, that looks great, dude. That looks great. We've got a video coming out on the difference between online and OTB in terms of measuring the skill level. Definitely seems like OTB is dramatically better. And you can see here, you and your opponent are definitely taking the time. So that looks great. If you are from a lower cohort and looking at this, just stare at this graph for a second and be like, oh, oh, hold on. Maybe this is Pruess or somebody. Here he comes. David Pruess is going to join me here. I got to move this away. Open Zoom meetings. And start. Boss, how you doing?
Hey, Jesse. Good. How about you?
Are you okay with being the man behind the mask?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm relaxed.
Yeah. Well, we're just doing
as long as our audio
show.
is good, right? Is our audio good, chat?
Oh yeah, dude, the audio, the dreaded audio. You know, I have a way to fix that. I think I'll tell you what, if the audio is poor, then I can fix it. You just tell me. Chat.
Nordovik says a little echo. Thanks for chiming in.
Okay, time out. There's solutions to these problems.
Yeah.
All right, just give me a momentito and casito, and I think I can figure this out. Tell us a story while I'm doing this, David.
An echoey story?
No, just a story. I'm setting this up.
Okay. Okay. I'm just afraid it's going to echo, basically. But a story. Let's see. We've got Thibbledorf over on YouTube was asking us, can you get some information about Chess Dojo? I'm looking for a guide to improve my rating and a training program. As far as I know, this is the training program there is out there in the chess world at the moment. The main thing that there is. We've got a different one for every 100-point level. And what Jesse was talking about is we've got some new ways to see it. Now we've got a way where you just see what you need to do today. We've also got a way where you can see an overview of what you need to do over the course of a week. And then you can see like the whole plan, which shows you what you're going to have to do over it may be 1 month or 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, depending on your level, to go up 100 points. So yeah, it's there. We're happy to share it with you. What you're watching Jesse do right now, going over people's annotated games, that's like the #1 pillar of Chess Dojo training, is play games at sort of the slowest rate that you're comfortable with playing, and then look over your games afterwards. And now and then have somebody stronger than you look at those games with your comments and give you feedback on where your thinking's going.
So, David, it sounds like Nordovich is saying I fixed that baby. How about that, buddy?
Real fast.
How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
like in chess, you know, a big part of the battle in chess is knowing when to calculate, when to think. Here, like the crux of the battle was for us just to remember, like, oh, let's check on the audio. And then you had no trouble doing it.
That's right. Well, anyways, I almost went tech. I don't want to talk about tech, though. Here we go. So David, by the way, just did a course with knight c3, f3. And this is now we're going to get this old style thing here. David, do you have, by the way, that like a quick video for people? Like a 4-minute video intro?
No, not yet.
Do that, boss. I want to see that.
But anybody in the training program, they can just go in there and see my whole course for free. You know?
Yeah, but I want to sell that thing, buddy. I want to sell it. Okay, so my sense is knight f3 is totally playable, but the drama is that black will be able to fix their bishop with bishop g4 and will then be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a friend back in the day, and he liked to play this with knight f3. And, you know, he was just playing like a reversed Carlsbad with c3
right.
and bishop d3.
He's like, if I were black, I wouldn't mind, you know, that your bishop got out of the pawn structure. I just play this position.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, so knight c6.
But Jesse, that was funny that I tuned into Chess Dojo this morning, and you were looking at a game straight out of my new repertoire.
Yeah, that last game we looked at. That's right.
Yeah, that last game you were looking at. I was like, oh, I know what's going on here. I understand.
It's funny that queen e2 move, it makes me squirm every time I see it, and I know that it's like the main thing these days.
Yeah.
Did you put that in the course too, the queen e2 thing?
Oh, yeah, that's the line in the course.
Oh, man.
I know, I'm sorry, but it's, you know, the supercomputer said it was best, so.
Yeah. So here we go. c4, knight f6, knight c3, bishop g4. And dude says, I don't know any theory, but this move looks normal to me. And this is the big one. This is the big question mark for the variation for white. There's a variety of ways that black can play. You don't have to do it this way. You can play e6 and bishop e7, e6, bishop b4. There's a million different ways. But this is the most testing, and I would say the one that kind of ended the variation because it just seems like it's equal.
Yeah, in the old days, they used to play all kinds of stuff because they didn't have that certainty about, oh, this is the move, right? So they even played this line with bishop e6. They played a line with g6 where they would like lose the d5 pawn even.
Yeah.
But yeah, this bishop g4 thing, it was always one of the main lines, right? It's just people didn't know that it was the sort of correct one, so to speak. And now I guess that may be known.
Right.
I used to even play d takes c4 long ago, Jesse, which is just absolutely bad.
Absolutely bad, yeah. Okay, so bishop e3 looks like a mistake, and dude spent 6 minutes on there. One thing I was like, certain positions I feel are difficult for me. I assume that's probably the case for most players. Remembering this line has always been hard for me. So, David, just give me a second. I'm going to try to remember what the correcto mundo thing is, and you tell me if I get it wrong.
The trick is there's some kind of like terrible two-step where you give a check before recapturing.
Right. So here we go.
That's the
So now we go queen b3.
Yeah.
Okay, so just slow it down, Jesse. Okay, I believe it goes like this: bishop f3, gf, e6, queen b7, here, 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 and here. Is that right, David?
Yeah.
I got it right. Okay. And this thing is supposedly equal. I think one of the things that's kind of interesting about this is back in the day, there were people who claimed that this was a small advantage for white, and then the computer was like, no, dude, that's nothing.
Yeah. So for those wondering, because that was pretty spicy and went pretty fast.
Yeah.
Queen c6 check is like the key move that I think a lot of people would forget if they're just sort of trying to memorize theory without understanding stuff.
Right.
The idea is the rook on a8 is tagged, so black can't block with queen d7. So white is forcing the king onto e7, blocking the bishop on f8. Without that move, the whole line would not be good for white.
Right.
And also there's a move order, Jesse, where I think instead of No, okay, yeah, you got the main thing. There's also like a line, which I think may also be playable, where instead of going for queen b7, white goes bishop e3, and they don't resolve to that endgame right away.
Yeah. One thing, actually, it was interesting. I've been doing Alekine's best games, part of the Dojo program, and he played at least 2 games with this move, bishop b5. And he was basically wasting fools in this position with bishop b5. The problem is if you go e6, I think then queen a4. No one played e6. And then I'm looking at knight e5. So I think you got to play rook c8.
The moves that make sense are rook c8 and a6 here, because basically white's... Okay, so normally bishop b5 straight up is not a great move if black's bishop is on c8, right? Because it's like, what are you trying to do? Trade your really good bishop for my knight. But as soon as that black bishop has said, oh, I want to get out of the pawn chain, then, the b5 to e8 diagonal has some juice on it. So the move is quite logical after bishop g4.
So actually a6, this was played, this was Sultan Khan as black against Alekine, and it went like this. And black is very close, but Alekine's like, nope, you just missed it by a hair, buddy. And he went on to win this position.
And then b3, huh?
Yeah. We're going to castle. We're going to finally, once we castle, it feels so much better.
But even this position, Jesse, it doesn't look bad to me. As it, like, my evaluation, just looking at this as black, I would think, like, I'm okay.
I think that's what dude thought too, and it's actually a little bit harder, just because you owe me so much time to fix your king.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, back to the front. Bishop e3. e6, that has to be a good move. Bishop e2, we're going to call that soft, and dc, good annotation. I think dc makes a lot of sense here.
Chris, I think if you're asking about that Alekhine Khan move order, after queen a4, black tactically can't play bishop takes f3 because of queen c6 check. You've got no good block, right? Queen d7, queen a8, you lose the rook with check, and then they recapture.
Yeah.
So right here, I think his alternative to sacking the pawn might be the move bishop d7.
But then he's going to suffer hugely with knight e5.
It looks like you're suffering, yes. and you have moved the bishop back and forth, but white's played like a queen move pretty early on, so it might still be playable, just e6 and developing.
Yeah, well, white's better.
I don't know for sure.
White's better, development and all that stuff.
Okay.
Okay, anyways, bishop e3, e6. DC was a good annotation. CD, probably okay. Boom. Now we have a typical IQP position. And you write that ED is possible. Very good. I think that's ED is playable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Good move. Ooh, that's frisky, G4. So one of the problems for white in these positions is coming up with a plan. And I think a lot of players don't like playing with the IQP because part of the deal is you got to be really creative about what you do in a position like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this bishop on e3, by the way, it looks a little weird to me, but I know Nimzovich had some games where he just put the bishop on e3 and he said, taste me, you know? So it's not the end of the world to have the bishop there.
Yeah. I mean, with that black bishop over on h5, I might look to the queen side for white. Moves like queen b3 or rook c1.
Yeah, queen b3 makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I would say it's an interesting game here. Queen b3 maybe is poor because of knight a5. I mean, that's the thing. It's complicated. you know, yeah, it's hard to know exactly what to do. Okay, so g4, very controversial because now the king is weakened. Looks now black seems to me to be doing great. Kaputstein says, my pieces are better, my king is safer, pawn structure better. B3 aims for bishop c4, which would kill my blockade for now. It's also, by the way, you can tell that white is a miser, and he was concerned that on rook c1 he was going to lose his coconut. At this point, he's got bigger concerns than his coconut because he might get mated pretty soon here. Also with b3, he's giving you these squares in a kind of nice way as well. So you have a lot of nice moves. He comes up with, he thinks here, definitely a critical decision, and comes up with the dramatic b5.
Really hated bishop c4.
Yeah. Yeah, we should say you have a lot of good moves here. B5 is very enterprising. That's the word I would use, enterprising.
To me, the simplest move is rook fd8. So here are things I want to play. I want to play h5. I want to play rook ac8. I maybe even want to play bishop a3 or bishop f6. But I think I would just start with rook d8. You know, it's just tying white's knight and bishop down a little bit. Against this move, bishop c4 that black was fearing, queen a5 is fine. Because of that b3 move, white's queenside pawns aren't really going to mess with our queen too much. And rook fd8, bishop c4, queen moves. We might have ideas of e5 or knight takes d4 followed by e5. And of course, we can also play h5 or rook c8 next.
I was thinking, David, that maybe what black was on about with b5 was the super frisky idea of f5.
Yeah, I thought of that move too, Jesse.
I don't know if it's good for your health, but I was thinking maybe that's what he was thinking about. Yeah, we're going to say that in general, just putting one of the rooks to d8 would be the standard boring plan that a chump GM would play. Okay, so p5, rook c1, logical. And now you give him a little touch. We can't go bishop b2 because of rook c5. And now you play a5, which I'm going to say I don't really understand a5. Do you understand a5, David?
He wants to go a4 and activate the rook there and play against white's b3 and a2. But it's very, very aggressive. There's some danger of bishop f3 from white. And it's very slow as well in terms of getting the rooks involved, right? Like the chump GM moves are rook FD8 and rook AC8, just getting 10 points of material into the game in 2 moves.
I think also this F5 move, I don't know. It's interesting. It's full spice level, though.
Yeah.
So here we're trying to look. Both of these are interesting for us. We're just trying to develop the rook. Okay, I want to say the other thing I don't understand about A5 is you've worked so hard to control the square, and if white wants, they can just get that square right away with A4. So that's my no comprende right there.
Yeah, A4 looks fine.
Yeah. Okay, so King G2, no comprende. A4, so you can see this was black's plan. Bishop D3. So in general, white doesn't want to be trading off, doesn't really help him. And yeah, so your task is being made easy here. And now look at this. He talks about bishop D3, queen D3, and now F5. The queen and light square bishop stopped guarding the pinned knight. Well, there it is. Nota bene too. This was all just fun and games compared to this power. That's the real thing now, Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so A B3, queen B3, and then maybe you missed that you couldn't play rook A2 because ultimately your knight's hanging. Maybe, I don't know.
I think, Jesse, that black really thought their position was very good and they wanted to, push for a second weakness or a bigger advantage. And that's where this whole A5, A4 comes from. But, maybe first develop your rooks, first tie white down to the D pawn, then start thinking about your second weakness. And the G pawn's the more obvious hook than the B3 pawn. Is exchanging minor pieces good for black? To some extent. I mean, right now I prefer black's bishop to white's, so I wouldn't be rushing to trade them.
Well, okay, let's just pretend for a second that queen takes is the best move. I kind of think it is. And now knight A5 happens, which he plays quickly. To my mind, knight E7 is the interesting move. We could talk about rook FC8 too, but knight E7 seems correctamundo. Because what happens with knight A5 is, while it's true this is a very sad rook, that's true, but you've just blocked your own coconut off too. Now you say pretty sure this is a draw with perfect play. I have no idea what's going on. I want to stress. I have no idea what's happening in this position. By the way, knight B3 might not be the best thing anyway, because some later rook B1. So there's that kind of question looming over us too. So rook B1, I don't understand what we're doing there.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably play rook C7 here for white. I wouldn't even play rook B1.
We could talk about it, yeah. And then, interestingly, you know what I think, David? Just looking at what happens here, they both kind of assumed that this was a draw. And, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, there's all kinds of things still happening here.
Right, the last comment is, on move 23, they've traded queens, pretty sure it's a draw, and then no more comments, and they also don't play it out very long.
Right.
And I think that both players don't, well, to me, the biggest show in town right now is the C file, and it seems like neither player even recognizes that. Now, I could be wrong about it, but to me, that's the show. Neither player is sending their rook to it. So,
yeah.
And then, of course, there's lots of other stuff going on, as you say, hard to know what's going on.
Finally, C file. Look at this. They're gonna pussyfoot it over here, David. Look at this.
Knight C6, huh?
And also, knight F3 is not where the knight wants to go because it's dominated by the F6 pawn. So you got to at least try knight D3. And in this position, we got some weird things happening, like rook A1 happening. Maybe I'm worried about it. But in general, black is better, especially after this knight F3 move.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly, knight d3, knight c5 would come really fast, hitting the rook and the
Yeah.
e pawn. And if black had to trade on c5, then suddenly the e3 bishop improves, and you could argue the c pawn is a strong
Right?
passer. I mean, I guess black just puts the knight on c6, and they shouldn't be in huge danger, but it would almost kind of flip who's optically better.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so that was Kaputstein. Congratulations. He's playing in Germany. Queen's Gambit generation, so really cool that he's made this progress here. And you can see in his heat map that he's been busy the last February, March here, especially March.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's continue. We have got Marky Moon, who has also graduated like 3 million times. Let's go see what's going on with Marky. All right, now look at, with Marky, dude could technically graduate again. He's at 17, 14. Full-time musician. We got some interesting people here, dude. We have actors, musicians, you know, doing well, man. So let's see. It would be cool for him to do the tactics tests in these ones. Let's see if he's got some clubs. I like doing clubs, David. Sometimes it tells me, like, you know, where they are. You know, I get a sense. There's this little score breakdown. All right, let's see if we got a game for Marky Moon. Oh, this is great. We got a 90-30. This looks like a OTB game. Okay, so let's see, time graph. Oh, we got a time graph. Look at that. So Marky Mark has a very professional looking time graph here, I would say. And his opponent is definitely moving a little too fast. All right, so we'll go back to the game review. Good move. Good move. Bishop e7, d4, and then bishop f6. All right. Sam Shanklin apparently recommends some line with knight a5. So by the way, these variations have been around forever. And I feel a strong sense that knight a5 was never played by the ancients. And that knight a5 is some computer line that Shanklin came up with.
Well, hang on. It was played by Anand against Kasparov in the 90s, so it's not necessarily a supercomputer line.
Okay.
I think it was discovered by humans.
Okay. So you know about this knight a5 thing.
Yeah, there's a line knight a5, knight e5, knight c4, d5, ed, queen d5, knight e3. There's a classic Kasparov Anand game where Kasparov cranks him with the Evans Gambit.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the cool things that Mark did here is he thought forever, which is appropriate. Because black just did something controversial. Yeah. And our position looks great. And his choice, DE5, it looks correct to me. So I don't want to call it a danger, but the question mark is if black achieves D6, knight E7 castles, then if he can kind of like strong point this E5 pawn, then he's going to be okay. The other thing we should point out is the issue with the natural D6 is this queen B3 move. And then that's, I assume, what black led black to play bishop F6 here. Okay, let's look. DE5, knight takes, bishop takes. And here, dude thinks for 12 minutes. Good job, by the way. Good job in thinking forever. This is a very key position. So he plays queen B3. And he's got a lot of reasonable looking moves. I think castles followed by F4 looks really hard to meet. And this bishop F7 thing is interesting. One thing, David, maybe you can help me out with this. So bishop F7, king F7, queen D5. I would just want to make sure that he couldn't hold on to that piece, you know? Maybe I get him with f4 now. Maybe that's my jam. That looks pretty abysmal, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, queen h5 is more obvious than queen d5 as far as recovering the piece.
True. Okay, good point.
But yeah, in this position, f4 would be the move I would be looking at. But here, queen h5 is very clear. If they want to hold the bishop, the only square would be e6, and now you have queen f5, king d6, bishop a3, which you don't have from the other angle.
I mean, maybe he could play c5 there, but it doesn't look right, does it?
Yeah, but you can take it, you know, and it's a clear king hunt, or you can play knight d2, and
Okay, what we should say though is this is the position dude ended with, and he's saying this looks good for white, but I thought the other line was trickier. It may be more potent. And what is true about a lot of these positions is sometimes your attack can just peter out. Yeah, I have some sympathy for what he's saying here, but it does look like white should just be. White's position is amazing, isn't it? Because long term, my F and E pawns are going to march. Right? That's the long term drama. And my king will be so much safer just long term.
So much safer with opposite colored bishops. You're expecting a pretty violent middle game here.
Yep.
The black king is just not going to be sheltered on the dark side. Right? White will put the bishop on b2, play c4, castle, advance pawns on the king side slowly if you need to.
Yeah.
It's a pretty nice looking position to me.
Yeah. Now, by the way, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the best way. Like I said, I also thought the very simplistic castles was a hassle for him because, like, let's say knight f6, then I go f4, and then I go e5, and then I think you're done. Okay, but let's look at what happens in the game. He did think forever and played queen b3, and I'm gonna.
There's no real reason to think this would be worse than castling because there's no knight a5 in these positions, right?
Well, I think bishop a3 is wrong. At least it looks wrong to me, because why can't black just play d6 now?
Well, it depends on the calculation of d6, f4, bishop f6, e5.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh,
Well, you can't. You can't do it yet. You can't do it yet, boss. Yeah.
So we have to castle and then hope that black has no way to stop it.
Okay, let me just say what makes me nervous here is I've been in these positions myself, and the bishop could just be dead. It might just be dead. So even the nasty looking g5 move, as long as I can keep this thing secure, then we're in good shape.
Yeah, white needs to find something a little juicy, right? There's certainly the opportunity in terms of development here. You've got ideas like bishop b5 or bishop d5 at some point to try and force c6, right? And then the bishop comes back alive. You're maneuvering the knight to c4.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at what happened here. c5, that doesn't look right. Castle's good move. Knight h6. Pop, it's time for him to die. It's time for him to go. Bishop c7. Good move. Good move. Simple chess. Now, you might have had better things, but that is just great. I love that the bishop can now come back to b2. You give it a double exclam. Giving myself a brilliant because it's a very deep idea. Great. I don't even know. To me, it doesn't have to be that deep. You're just making this thing a beast. Like the depth might be in how deep you calculated it or something, but it just looks like, oh yeah, that's a winner. That's a winner.
Yeah,
right
I mean,
there.
you could play bishop b2 superficially, but I think this player was thinking prophylactically in this case. Like he was not only thinking, what do I want to do? Because what do I want to do? You could play rook a e1 and then bishop b2. You could play different move orders, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, like, the one thing that I don't want to let black do is transfer the queen from e7 to g6. So,
Yeah, he's toast.
deep thinking for this level.
And I think e5 is definitely in the spirit of the position. Rolling out the red carpet to black's king. Welcome to the dojo. f5, rook at e1, that can't be bad. And then he says black has to remove the monster, but a new boy's in town now. A new sheriff's in town now.
It's just a pawn.
Oh, look at that. Oh.
The heck of a pawn.
Now e6 comes. That's cruel.
Oh.
Bam, baby. Take that. Oh, and he's talking about ed7.
Oh.
Oh. Queen g3. Look at this. Puzzle rush. Dang. Oh, this is miserable. Dang.
Oh.
Welcome to the dojo. Welcome to the dojo. That was a good game, man. That was a good game.
Oh my God, he just riddled the guy with shots there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a classical game can look like. That kind of like precision once you're in a good position, too.
And very good annotations, too. Yeah. Okay, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. So let me just go back here. So that was in the 1500, now in the 1600 to 1700 cohort. I think there, that's where you can start to see openings being of value. And Marky Moon, he's been doing some hectic Shanklin course, and it kind of paid off. One of the things, though, of course, at that level, you're going to get weird moves like bishop f6, and then you gotta figure it out for yourself there.
All right. So then the important question, I guess, Jesse, is how well do you feel Marky Moon reacted to something that wasn't in the course, right? And
yeah,
the first thing to be said is that he stopped and thought for a while, right?
That was great. That was great, and I think there was that one bishop a3 move was the only thing I didn't like.
Yeah. I agree with queen b3, by the way, the move before. Marky, queen b3 was good. Nice tempo move. The queen's good there. Put some pressure. They play queen e7. And then I think you just want a castle there because bishop a3 is a little committal. Castle, and see how they respond to the idea of f4, e5, and maybe bishop a3 next, right? It's still going to be hanging over black.
Cool. Let's go on to the next one. This is another person who has done some serious work here. Again, this is, for me, the most inspirational kind of journeys. And he says, this took me a while, but I feel that I finally have stayed long enough above the rating range to feel comfortable enough to graduate. Kostya, by the way, is today urging that we auto-graduate people. Maybe we should. He says, I haven't logged a lot of my training, almost at all lately, so I figured this is a good point in time to start using the site more frequently. Yes, indeed. There are 3 things that drives the progress: playing and analyzing games, solving puzzles, analyzing games with peers or a coach. Okay, great. So here we go. This is, I don't know what to do with those consonants. Scarface, something like that. That's, I don't know, scarf face maybe. I don't know. It could be a lot of things. Okay, so of course you should start logging your business, and I think it's great that what we can see here is after you graduated, you have been using it. And so that's just a great thing, man. And 1628 Lichess, looking good. Okay, and the tactics, you're lagging behind, so something's going on with the tactics. All right, clubs. Asian Dojo, Down Under. To me, David, Asian and Down Under, those are 2 different places, So I kind of want him to tell us or form a specific club,
Maybe there's somewhere between Australia and mainland Asia, right? Like maybe there's somewhere in the archipelagos.
Yeah. Okay, so they just started. Let's hope they have a game here. Oh, they got loads of games here, buddy. We got a 90-30 here. Let's click that bad boy. So amazing. This is a 90-30 played, it looks like on Lichess. Here's a very professional looking time graph, my friends. Very professional. So, if you are in a lower cohort and wonder, what is Kraai yelling at people about? What does he want? This is kind of what he wants it to look like. Now, arguably, they might have gotten into a little pressure at the very end, but it is possible to live off that 30 seconds. These people both were thinking pretty good. Maybe this was a dojo game, doesn't say. All right, here we go. Good move, good move. All right, the famous, oh yeah, this is possible. David got wasted in a game, against this Israeli GM 2004 who used this line against you, right?
Who's Rayleigh GM?
Israeli GM, yeah.
Oh, an Israeli GM. Oh, right. So Golod?
Golot, yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I learned from that, Jesse, is that in this position here, white should prepare to answer knight gf6 with knight e to d2.
Interesting.
And it may seem like a real loss of time and a backward this and that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But black played bishop d7 to c6, so you've got one tempo to work with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the bishop on c6, furthermore, is blocking the pawn on c7. So if you just avoid the knight trade, which really relieves black's position, lets the knight out of d7, it opens up the diagonal for the bishop. If you just go knight ed2 on your next move, then basically the best thing black can do at some point is just play bishop takes f3 and c5.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe the move here for white is queen e2. And then after knight gf6, you go knight ed2, and white's beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of systems like this nowadays where eventually the weird idea is to take on f3, then play c6 and say, I'm fine. So let's see how this game goes. c3. I don't like this knight g3 because it doesn't seem like it's going to do much there.
Right. It's not the best square for it. Knight d2 is the best square because also if they don't take on f3 ever, the knight's actually quite good on c4. Mm-hmm. It's rare for a knight to end up on c4 in these French lines, but it is very good there.
Right. All right, bishop e7, bishop f4, and now we're going to do a little dance. Now, oh, by the way, it looks like, I don't know why, but our hero is actually playing black here. Scarface. And he says about bishop f4, this move caught me by surprise. I was expecting short castle. The bishop is active on f4, but it can be vulnerable. It can be hit with knight d5. Intuitively, I don't like knight d5 because the knight is blocking the bishop, which probably wants to be traded at some point. And the bishop can go to d2. I call this kind of move a temptress situation. A lot of times there's a tempting to like get him to play knight h5 and then we move the bishop and we just say, hey, your knight's dome there. Here, the knight also seems unfortunate on d5.
Yeah, I would consider here maybe bishop d5 for black.
Well, I know what I would do, boss. I just castle. I don't have to be a genius, boss. I don't need to be a genius, you know.
Yeah. But for those of us who are geniuses, bishop d5 clears the way for c5. And if white plays c4, black can trade on f3 and go bishop b4.
For those of us who are geniuses, yeah. You could do bishop d5 next move, too. White isn't doing anything.
Yeah, but, you know, castles, bishop d5, c4 is mildly more controversial. I mean, you play bishop f3, queen f3, c5, probably. There's a little controversy.
Okay.
White can maybe push d5 then.
Okay, here we go. Knight d5. Now your pieces are a little cramped. Castles. Knight e4. Definitely we want to talk more annotations here. Knight e4 isn't a bad idea, but definitely castles first. Castles short for white, no questions. Knight f6, good move. Now notice you're solving your problem. And he solves your problem too. Look at that. He solved it for you. Now we have an interesting momentito though, because you took back with the knight, and arguably you should have taken with the bishop. Yeah, I think bishop takes looks more natural. Okay, so
Would you play e5 for black?
I think about it, but I also have bishop takes f3 and c5 coming too, and there's no knight e5. And that brings us to the interesting question: was knight e5 right now playable? I don't know. I guess we should check. So knight e5, check to the miserable rook, and I think black has a problem. Because I'm going to have, like, if you just move it back, I can play bishop h6, and yeah, doesn't look great. So, looks like white missed that. He castled. Bishop f3, probably the right thing at this stage, because if knight e5 happens, then white will be better. It's one of the reasons I wanted to play bishop takes f6. And then here we go, Fort Knox structure. Good. Okay, so white is definitely a touch better, but we can play this position for sure. This one, by the way, is a position where the old timers would have said it's equal, and the computer I know will tell you that he thinks white is significantly better. But just because the computer says that doesn't mean we should. One thing...
So I've just been studying this position, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Because my Caro course is basically, positional ruminations on the d4 versus c6 pawn structure.
Uh-huh.
And we get this kind of position all the time.
Yeah.
In that course, right? And black normally plays queen d5 and offers the queen trade. And I think that white's always better, but it's by a very small amount, and it's very long games. Very long games.
Yeah. One interesting thing I just noticed is we were talking about, in general, I want to play rook a1 and move my bishops back and sit on you. But if I play rook a1 now, I do have to worry about queen d5 with this coconut hanging on a2. One move I know is good for white, though it's not obvious immediately, is a3. And the idea there is not just to get out of this coconut, but to put your pawns on the square of your unopposed bishop. So a3 is a highfalutin move. Yeah. Okay.
I'll tell you this, if white could defend the d pawn, then they could also play c3, c4 to stop queen d5. But we can't do that in time. And then I see later on white's going to play one of the main plans for this position, which is to play a4. And just ask your opponent where they want to stop your a pawn and what little positional concession they want to make.
All right, let's go. Bishop f4, bishop d6. I think that's correct. Don't trade. I like David's queen d5. No reason not to play queen d5 here. So we'll go back, a4. And now queen a5, we should play queen d5. Play queen d5. He's talking about knight d5 forcing the exchange of bishops. It might be true. Let's just check if it's true, David. So knight d5.
Bishop d2. He wants to go bishop g5.
I'm just worried some accidents. Yeah, queen h5 looks like a hassle in the castle.
I guess h6.
But h6, if nothing else, I'm not going to give you the exchange of bishops. And there I'm definitely crushing.
Oof.
Yeah. I was thinking, by the way, though, just play queen d5, and you're doing great. I think white is really, I was going to say screwed the pooch, but I don't say that anymore. Yeah, because queen g3, I got this move. Queen e3, I might not have knight g4 because of some queen h3 thing. That's a thought. But in any case, my queen belongs on d5. All right, so queen a5. Okay. That's no good because you're going to get hit with, you're going to lose a tempo with bishop g3. David's a5 might also be a thing here.
Definitely.
Oh, and white trades off. So, yeah, if you can avoid, white's still better here, but in general, don't trade. Don't trade if you have the option. a5, a6, I like white. Finally, rook e1. That took a while for him to get there. Oh, no, look at this. We transform into a Carlsbad structure. Yeah, now black's fine. Queen e1. Knight e7. Queen d1. And now knight c6. So actually, we have this great book in the program called 47 Ways or something to Mess with Your Opponent Positionally. And the maneuver here is actually the Capablanca maneuver of knight c8, d6. And once you put that bad boy on d6, it's not just that white can't do anything. You will have really good opportunities yourself. Knight c6, though, the knight's dominated, so it's not actually going anywhere.
I think black was thinking that the a pawn was a weakness and that they were kind of bossing white around by attacking it.
g3, by the way, good move. Put your pawns on the dark squares.
Oh, yeah.
h4, good move. Put your pawns on the dark squares. h6, now white should start thinking about moseying the queen over and forcing g6 or something. Oh, and he just trades it off. He's like, screw it. We get an endgame which is equal, but the bishop seems better than the knight. There was no reason to go for this. I agree with that. For white to go for this. That was terrible. Like, white had legitimate... All he had to do was organize this, and then all of a sudden there's a problemito and casito. Okay, h5, I don't know. Maybe h5. That's probably okay. Okay, but the problem is for white. Let's talk about this. White's better, but it's going to be hard to do anything because of the a-pawn. Anyways, if I was white, the first thing I would do is put my king like on e3 or something. All right, h5. Oh, that's a bad move right there. Look at that. He ruined his structure. Oh, no. Terrible. f4. f4 is very committal, but maybe it's okay. He brought his king to the right spot. Now g... Well, now it's a little hectic. Bishop e2, I don't understand. Don't get it. That's too frisky for me. Now he plays h4. Okay, he thought forever here too. We're now, this is getting a little hot for an old man like myself. It's getting a little hot. I don't understand what's going on here. I don't get it. I don't get it. C takes, knight b4, king f2.
Instead of h4, another move, which I think they may not have looked at so closely, right? Because he looked at dc4, but black also has knight b4 immediately after c4.
Yeah. I assume king d2 or something is his intention. I don't know.
And then if rook c8, what does white do? c5?
Can we just say something obvious? In this position, he's played fine. Now he starts to muck it up because he doesn't know what to do, right? So this is the position where white needs to try to mess with black. And I think the first question would be g4. And if g5, I'm going to strongly consider rook h1. So this looks dangerous for black. Very dangerous. He's mucking it up, though. Bishop e2. He doesn't know what he's doing.
I think black's kind of fundamentally okay because of that a-pawn.
Well, I don't know.
You go rook h1, black just goes rook h8. And
maybe. I'm going to have G5 and stuff. Okay, let's have some fun, Dave. What do you want to do?
What do you mean?
What do you want to do in this position after G4?
Oh, you said G5 for black? That's fine with me.
Oh, you want to go G5? That surprises me. Okay, rook over. Oh, excuse me, wrong. My rook slid, but not all the way over. Now it looks dangerous.
Rook H1, Rook H8.
We'll give you the welcome to the dojo moment right there. No.
Queen G7.
I don't know.
Takes on F4. Rook F8.
Maybe you could try rook F7 here. Yeah, maybe you survived. Let me try one more time, David. Because I like these positions. I'm like, oh, this looks dangerous. Rook H8.
What I like about this game, Jesse, is like both of these players are trying to win this endgame. There's no comment after like the queen's trade on E7, like the endgame's a draw, and then
Yeah.
The rest is given without comment. You know, like
Yeah. All right.
They're still trying on every move.
Yeah, let me try on this move here. So King G7. I don't really see anything better than Rook H5.
You want a very different idea? You could play F5 and try and make D5 into a weakness, and say your G pawn can hold Black's king.
Good. I think that's more like it. I'm so dogmatic with my pawns.
Your rook and your
Maybe though you're fine after E5. It's a little scary though, for sure. Okay, let's go back to the game. I think definitely it's interesting. So bishop E2, he mucks around. And now C4 is starting to look desperate. All right, here we go. C take, H4. Knight B4, oh my God. King F2. ED5. And he wants to say knight D5 and that he's okay on knight D5. I don't know. Maybe. But the heat's on knight D5, because let's say I go here, and then let's just say I take it like a fool, and then I play here like a fool. That's probably fine for black, but you got it. It's not over yet. In fact, why rush? Is Rook C1 right away?
You're playing Rook C1?
Okay, I just want to say black should hold, but there's still some drama here. There's still some drama.
Yeah, this is better. When you went straight for the rook ending, I had the feeling that black could maybe play H3 after rook C1 and hold pretty with King F5 and just all the black pieces are active. It seems fine. But here, there's still some worries. Like if I play H3, maybe my pawn does nothing. I like your rook C1 move.
Okay, so ED5. And now GH4. So GH4 suggests that he is really concerned about H3. You cannot play Rook C1 or Rook E1 because of stuff.
Right, knight D3. I think White's fear might have also been knight D3, even without Rook C1 or Rook E1. Like,
Yeah.
right, knight D3, and then maybe taking your B pawn, or maybe taking on G3 and going after your F pawn. What else could White try here? King G2, I guess, would be the other move here.
Well, G4 is the other interesting. No, G4 doesn't work actually because of knight D3. Just show it. So if G4, knight D3, king must come here because the F pawn. But then I take, and then when I need to, I come back and say, no, that's not true, Jesse. So G4 is the combative move. The G4 is possible because what I didn't understand at first is this is crushing. So on G4, oh, it's going to get hot. The claim with G4, by the way, is this pawn is a chump. He's a chump. And you got to really watch yourself, like at some point the G5's coming. This looks dangerous for black. Yeah, this looks really dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, interesting move for black, Rook E8. White has to play something like Rook D1.
Okay, maybe. Maybe that's true, actually. Well, okay, wait. Just humor me if I go here. Maybe G5. Oh, wait. Here's maybe a star move, David. How about this? Rook A3.
Yeah. I mean, Rook H1, there's knight D3. I had a direct threat, right? So you have to go Rook D1 or Rook A3. This one, you want to do Rook B3 next.
Right.
If I'm reading the tea leaves. So I will just get out ahead of it, right?
Okay.
Handle. I'll play knight C2.
Okay, but I want to say no.
Knight E1.
All right.
I take that superior minor piece. That's the point of all my hopping.
You're going to do some hopping, all right, buddy. You're going to do some hopping. This looks dangerous, buddy. Yeah, this is probably lost.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it looks pretty bad.
Okay, let's go back to the game. So GH4, Rook C8. Yeah, Rook takes pawn, bud.
Huh?
Rook C4. Rook D1. There's some things that we don't get. King E6. Check to the rook. Knight C2 threatening a dirty trick. That's a dirty trick right there, Knight C2.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately for us, I'd like to play King G5, but I guess it's a no lo puedo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
The best I
cruel.
see is maybe Rook D2.
That's a good move, yeah, Rook D2. Mm-hmm. But instead, he's going to get knight E3 and Rook takes B3.
Mm-hmm.
So, White dude was doing great. And how did he blow this? Rook C8. And, all right, let's pretend.
Pretend you wanted to defend White's honor.
King G3. No, I'm just trying to see what white should do here. Rook C4. And Rook D1 is probably not it. But it's not. It's true that it's not super simple.
How about this? Rook C4, Rook to E1. Going to the open file.
Another thing that's kind of mildly clever is I could play Rook A4, Rook D4, King G4, or maybe King G4 first, and claim that you're gonna always be host. I don't know. It's hot. All right.
Well, here's my idea.
Okay, you tell me your Rook E1. Let's say I snip that thing.
You take the thing, right? And then I'm going to go bishop G4.
I don't get it though yet. So, well, maybe I get it. Okay, that's clever.
Trying to activate these pieces, but
So I go check to the miserable king.
King F2.
I think you might want to. Anyways, that seems the problem with King F2. It might be a problem anyway.
Rook to six, check. Oh, and even if I go to E2, there's always rook E2. Alright, so I guess I have to go to B6.
So I don't know. I can play knight d3 or. Oh, I mean, it's getting hot. Who knows what's happening, honestly.
Oh, Foos has a maybe simpler idea that you might like, Jesse. Yeah. I hear, by the way, this knight d3 move, I'm not sure what it does for black. That's kind of what I want as white, is knight d3, king e3. You trade rooks, my king goes to d4, my bishop goes to c8.
Okay, but check this out. Knight d3, king e3. Snip, snap. You gotta, how do you save your b6 pawn?
King d4, knight a4. And I've got nothing left. Yeah, that's a draw. All right, try Foos's rook a. Well, Foos's idea of rook a4. It was also your suggestion earlier.
What move do I do rook a4? Oh, I know, rook c4, and then it was rook a4 we were talking about, right?
Right, so I think it's rook a4 with the king on f2, maybe.
Rook a4 here.
Okay, yeah, rook a4 there, right. And he wants to go rook takes d4, bishop takes d5.
Mm-hmm. That's simpler, yeah. Good move. We're not, let's see though. Okay, check to the miserable king. I think you have to go to g3. Right, because if you go here, it's going to be here, and then I got this check.
Yeah, sorry, I think I sent you to the wrong place. Go to rook c4 in the game. So king g3, rook c4, and then play rook a4.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I take pawn though. I was thinking about this. I don't know what special thing we're gonna do.
We're gonna take on d5
But like worst case scenario, I got this bad boy, and then this bad boy, and then this is a draw. You can try to work me. You can try to work me here, son, but you know it's a draw. Okay, let's go to the game, David. Rook d1. All kinds of things happen. We thought more about this than they did. And knight e3, knight takes f5 would be a thing, but black takes.
But they were working hard, Jesse. They put in the time on the time graph and comments on.
And now he says white's winning, which is maybe true. That pawn's a hell of a drop.
I mean, if so, this f5 check is, you know, a genius.
Oh, he went passive. Oh, that might be hurting. Bang. Bang. That's over. Okay, and he resigns.
Man.
Yeah. Brutal stuff, dude. Brutal stuff.
Dude, that was extremely impressive by white.
Yeah.
That f5, king f4, h5, king g5. Oh, man.
Mm-hmm. And if we go back, they were playing pretty much on increment here. If I show the time graph, they were playing close to increment right around this point in the game. So, yeah. Okay, David, I'm going to take a quick potty.
All right.
Why don't I'm going to put this guy up. Why don't you read his thing, and then I'll be back. This is Geeky Laos.
All right, folks. Geeky Lao. Let's see. All right, so it says, hello, this is my third graduation, being the first one in October and the second one in January. When it comes to chess activities on the dojo, I believe I should complete those activities on the lower cohorts, as all I know comes from experience on games with low time controls. And therefore, learning chess again from books and studies would help me more if I start from the basic levels. Okay, so this player is some kind of a speed chess prodigy, if I'm understanding this right. Like, they play a lot of rapid games or blitz games, and they get better faster than they can complete the study materials. My hopes for the rest of this year are to participate and win bigger tournaments of my region and country. I knew this player was from Spain from the way they write in English. Andalusia and Spain, respectively. May, June, September, and eventually December. This one has a minimum rating required I need to reach. I think you're going to reach it. I hope in these few months I can get to a higher level and get the results I train for.
Nice.
So they want to do some more of the work that's still in the cohorts that they've graduated from, because they've gone up so fast.
They're a bit of a blitz genius, Jesse, you know, like Nakamura, somebody who plays a lot of games and just gets good.
Okay. Well, let's take a look. So first do we have a Spanish? There it is, the Spanish dojo. I was wondering, you know, like France, England, and Germany all have clubs with over 100 people. And here we finally got 13 in the Spanish dojo. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And he's been working on it for a bit. He's joined beginning of last year. A little bit inconstant with the recording of things.
Logging it, yeah.
We got one game played fairly recently. Let's check it out. This is Gilao. And, we got a time graph. He's got a pretty good time graph right there. His opponent just flatlined it. I don't know. Maybe this was, let's see if we, doesn't say if it's OTB, but I'm assuming it is. Not entirely sure. Okay, let's get into it. All right. Oh, we got some fancy stuff here. Oh, very fancy stuff. Okay, A3 is like a, you know, if I didn't know that it was a move, I'd tell you it was a mistake. It's a very fancy move. It's got some real darkness to it with A3. Like, there's ways in which it's useful that are very surprising later on in the game. All right, so here we go. B5, snip. He's got a choice. He decides to trade the bishop. Wow, and now we got b4. Amazing. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because the main plan for black in this line is b5, b4, and then a5 themselves. And so white plays a3, b4, kind of heads it off, and the bishop on b7 remains dead for a little bit longer.
Well, now here's the point of controversy, though, because castles happens, which looks to me suicidal. Like, I would just want to say, the normal thing to do here would be to castle short.
Whoa.
He castles long like a madman.
Yeah.
But then an interesting thing happens where white or black plays knight c4, maybe a little too quickly, because this allows white to take, and we can't play what we'd like to do, which is dc. So, to my mind, black is now close to, well, white needs something special after queen c7. Because if I put this bad boy here and open up the beast, then I'm more than okay. So that would be my question for white. Now, go ahead, David.
This might be counterintuitive or look insane with the rook on d1, but could black have just played d4 to let the bishop out immediately here?
Yeah, that's totally thought, yeah. So what David's talking about is we could sack the pawn and get this square for the knight and this bad boy here going on. So that's another reason that, I mean, castle's long, dude. That looks insane. Yilau. Buddy! Now, let me just say something, Yilau. You've clearly learned some openings, and at some point you learned this a3 move. But castle's long, dude. No. The queen side is black side of the board.
What I would have done here as white, by the way, is knight d4.
Yeah, good. That's the safe way.
Do not move your d-pawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I thought that would be like, I don't know, by the way, about the pawn sack after castling. You know, I'm willing to believe that white's a little better in this position, for example. Not that black shouldn't do it, but I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, black should be fine. I mean, white should be fine in this position. Okay, so in any case, this was insane. It was insane. Knight c4 is maybe a little too fast, because now the question becomes, he lost his amazing knight, and now it's going to be a race, and I like, in principle, your move, f5, good move. Queen e7, I like your move, knight f4. c3, I don't know if I comprende that. But it's also a little hard to give black advice at this point. Yeah. So, c3. Should we play f6? I'm not, unless, very simply, if we don't have something special with f6, we shouldn't do it. Because, see, the problem, okay, maybe, the problem is that now we don't have any pressure on the light squares. And so we need a follow-up here. We got knight takes d5. What are we saying? Jesse, what are you doing? Maybe f6 is fine, Jesse. Jesus, you bum.
f6 looks like a genius move.
Maybe f6 is just genius. Yeah. No, okay, f6 is genius level. Boom, boom. This is no good. Also here, rook takes d5 looks very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So what black was doing is he went all in on this c3, a5. It's just way too slow. Thank you very much. Welcome to the dojo. Good move. Welcome to the dojo. He did get out of dodge there. What happened? Was that necessary? Oh, man.
Whoa.
How did it happen, David? It happened so fast. Rook b8. Okay, wait a second. Let's just slow it down for a second. So this position, David and I are going to say it's just completely winning for white. And what happened with queen b6 is unfortunate. Knight e4 looks pretty devastating.
Knight e4 or b5, and then knight d6.
Yeah. So queen b6, I think you miss queen h6. And then all of a sudden it's complicated again.
You know, knight e4, rook d8 is less clear than knight b5.
Okay.
Because of knight c7 mate.
There's a lot of things here. Oh, and we're looking at this time graph. Yeah, white was already beginning to feel it at this point in the time graph. Oh my gosh. I did not see my opponent castling as a possible move. That's happened to the best of us right there.
Yeah.
And now we're hosed. Rook g5, definitely stronger. And then this happened to him. Well, that was rough.
Oh, no.
So one of the things I will say to Gilau is that the A3 move is so highfalutin that it shows me that you've been spending probably too much time in L openings.
Yep.
Well, actually, David, maybe he came up with it on his own. Because look at it. He spent 20 minutes on A3. And so you would spend 20 minutes unless you, maybe he just did it on his own, dude.
You're right. Just an idea came up with on his own, and a very interesting one in that case.
Yeah.
But then I would say 20 minutes is too long on that kind of a move, right? You need more
Right.
time on those moves, like where you're looking for the kill with queen b6, and you miss that there's queen h6 check castles, getting the king castled when it looks like they don't have time to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, missing your knockouts with knight b5 or knight e4. Then the hectic tactics around knight takes b4. Eventually, white was too low on time, I think, because I think
A takes b4, walking into rook b4 check is a absolute blunder. So
that means you actually have to be more practical in your time use on the strategic decisions and save more time for calculating when the stuff hits the fan.
Yeah. Okay, but otherwise, I felt this first phase of the game was definitely a very interesting strategic struggle, and castles will be the kind of mistake that, you won't do too much later on in your career. All right, good job. Here we go. We're going to continue here. Hannes finally broke the 1500 SELO barrier. Maybe that's a local rating kind of thing. The average FIDE rating of players in the 1490-15 CELO range. Do you know what that means, David? CELO. Maybe Swedish or something. So I figured it was time for graduation. I'd read Simple
maybe
Chess
that's
before.
a typo. Maybe it's just ELO.
Maybe. Or Swedish ELO. But it was totally worth reading it again. 1001 chess exercise for club players proved to be a bit harder than I expected. Thus, I've only completed about 10% of it so far. The most influential non-dojo materials I studied between this graduation and the one were Jesse's Chessable courses on time, which I think we're going to put in the course in the 4.0, and Toth's Chess Principles Reloaded. As for the game to be reviewed, I hope you take a look at my latest game against AH. Okay, we can do that. All right, let's click on Hannes here. Okay. French New Wave, dude. This dude Hannes is crushing it. We're gonna, let's see if it clubs tells us where he is. No, he's not. He's somewhere in Europe with SELO. He's lifting heavy things, dude. David, when are you gonna start lifting heavy things, Paus? It's
What do you
time.
mean? I would be at the gym right now if I weren't on stream with you.
Shamui says Salo is Finnish Elo. Okay.
Actually, I guess by your all standards, I lift light things, but I mean, it's what I can lift. So.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so let's go look. He wants AH. There we go. There he is.
Oh, Shamui tells us that CeLO is Finnish.
I just said that, Boss. If you ever listen to me.
I do. I'm just looking at the chat.
Okay, so time graph looks good. That's a good time graph. Your opponent, maybe we would tell him he's going a little too fast. So we'll go game review. All right, so here we go. A year ago, he dissolved my Caro-Kann in style. I was not in the market for getting rolled over. There's nothing wrong with the Caro button. Nothing wrong. It's not about the openings. All right, now it's fancy. This is where I'm out of book. Oh, no. Look at this. It's getting super fancy right away. So basically, Hannes, you've gone too highfalutin here, bud. You've gone way too highfalutin with H5. Now, is it in principle, is it a bad move? Maybe not. But oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. Bishop E3, E5. Knight B3. Oh my gosh, look at this. I don't understand H3. No, I don't understand H3 at all.
Let's play G4 at some point, but it's too far away, right? White needs to develop more first, huh?
Yeah, just from my chump perspective, I would say white now with this H5 thing. Even though this might be theory, and I don't feel like I need to know the theory to play the position, right? I play castles. At some point, I'm going to play knight d5, and then the practical challenge for black will be like, where is your king going to go? You know, where is it going to go? But okay, here we go. H3, I don't get it. Rook c8 probably can't be wrong. King b1, he's just going to kind of sit there. And now you go for it with b5. He talks about knight b6. Now, definitely, you shouldn't be worried about bishop takes b6. That's not to be feared. He would be giving you his good bishop there. So knight b6 is playable. And the thing, I don't know, b5 makes me a little nervous. Because we're not, like if it was our move, would we want to play b4? I don't think so. We'd still want to play knight b6. All right, now white makes a terrible move, though, bishop d3, and we can explain this. The bishop didn't really need to be developed, first of all, but more importantly, you're blocking your coconuts, too.
But white wants to play G4, so they do need to connect their rooks here. So maybe bishop E2?
But in either case, we can stymie it completely with H4 if we want to. But if you are going to move the bishop, yes, then bishop E2. Bishop D3, no bueno. Good move, knight B6. Takes. Yeah, it's not just the bishop pair. Now he's lost the dark squares. You're doing great. So clearly he was obsessed with this move G4. And so I considered playing B4, but ultimately decided against it because the knight can slip away with knight A4. Yeah, that would be a tricky thing to calculate. For example, B4, knight A4, queen C6, queen B4, D5. I don't know what's happening. I just want to be as clear as possible. I have no idea. I have no idea. But that would be maybe something to analyze. Your move H4, I don't know if it's bad, but isn't it unnecessary? Like, he's not really threatening. We're not worried about GH, right? David, what do you think we should play here as black?
So, I mean, B4, knight A4, queen C6 is the most important thing to look at, just like you said.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what I would end up playing. But if somehow that line doesn't work, I suppose you could also play B4, knight A4, queen B7, or something, and just wait a move to play D5. If nothing works over there, that's kind of bad news for black, right? Because, well, that's where our play is. White's not threatening much, so normally we'd want to advance our own play here.
By the way, David, I mean, it's super complicated. I think on b4, knight a4, queen b7, dude's intending knight a5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Not happy about it.
I don't know if White's going to be happy about it either.
Queen c6 and d5 looks correct. That should work.
Okay.
That should work. Just go for it, Jesse. It should work. There's nothing else black wants to do, by the way. Like, if there was absolutely nothing we could play, there is a defensive move of some use for black, which is g6. Mm-hmm. It prepares maybe king f8, king g7, and also if white goes g5, your knight can move and they don't have g6 hurting your light squares. But normally this is what you would want to do as black here. And now you would, I guess, trade on e4.
I don't know about this. This makes me nervous.
Well, the Najdorf is sometimes a nerve-wracking opening.
Mm-hmm. I just say it's hard to evaluate. It's
knight e4.
And now black, he's got knight b6. He might be able to play queen e5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think queen e5 is super critical. Knight b6. What's the idea after rook b8?
Probably some kind of queen e5, and I zap your zip.
Okay.
I was thinking knight b6, maybe you would play bishop d8, and then I would be confused, and then I don't know. But also, this is a problem here, because like on knight f2, I have queen g7. It's just starting to get hectic, dude. You know. Okay. So the point, though, is to say that h4 doesn't do anything. I think would be fair to say. And so Pruess might play g6 just like a lame-o.
G6 is a lame move. I would play b4, d5.
Okay.
But g6, like if you need to play a move on the king side, g6 is your move.
I would say also maybe there's a real simple way of playing chess here. Just play queen c6. And then we'll play b4 next. And kick him.
So
and
knight a5.
And then I'll play queen c7. Not too worried about that knight.
There's a classic thing for white to do here, maybe after you go queen c6.
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah, the classic thing, if I can read his mind, is we're going to organize a g5, knight d5, force you to take, then plant my knight on c6.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the classic thing right there. Okay, well, let's look at the game. h4, f4. I think in principle he should try. Oh, look at that. Now, whether it's right or wrong, we're going to congratulate you on just having the coconuts to play it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's right, though. I'm not 100% sold.
Looks okay.
Because look at this. He's going to...
Looks fine. That's the point of playing chess. Point of playing the Sicilian. Might as well do it.
Okay, so here we go. Queen h4. Maybe incorrect, but here we go. Knight e5.
Well, let's say surely incorrect.
Okay, certainly incorrect.
White should be playing a move like knight d4 or g6 or something, right? Like they have to fight back, not go hunting a pawn on them.
The problem with knight d4 though is I was looking at that is that then they play b4.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a little problemito and casito.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. So yeah, he goes pawn on eight. White needs a plan here.
Mm-hmm.
White needs a plan. The bummer for white here also is that if e5, there's knight d5. Okay, so castle. Mm-hmm. So this looks great, dude, what you did. Yeah, white. It says this is equal. I don't know. There's nothing equal about this position to me. Bishop c4. That is a weird move to play. And you write, I considered lifting the rook with rook c3. And there's a lot of analysis here. Now, it does say that this happened in 30 seconds. To me, this would be like the critical position for black to think about. Let's just look at his analysis. Rook c3.
Maybe black already spent a lot of time up to this and didn't have the time left.
All right, move 22. It's getting there. It's getting there. We still got some time. So rook c3, h5 was his concern. a5, g6, a4. I mean, I want to admit it's scary. gf7, bishop f7, h6, g6, and he says black is slightly better. Let me just say that black's either winning or losing. That's what I'm going to tell you. To me, it looks like he's winning. Just because white's pieces aren't ready to touch me yet. Okay. So
that's intense.
That's a real variation. And honestly, though, maybe you agree with me here, David. We got to take on c3. Like, yeah, it's complicated. White's going to do his thing to us, but we got to take on c3. So bishop c4, he's going to go. Then he takes this way. Oh, no. Now it's really scary. Bishop f6, and now gf7 happens.
So bishop c4 was a lost move, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, setting up some fancy queen a5 stuff.
Okay, now this gf7, I have a feeling white might have a better move than gf7. If I was white anyway, I would strongly consider rook here, intending rook just taking this thing. Okay, gf7, pop. Hello. That wasn't it. Boom. Boom. Oh, baby, it's taste me.
Oh.
Woo. That was a good game, man. That was exciting, too. That was exciting stuff.
You refused to watch the...
So, I would say, that was a pretty high-level game. The rook takes... The bishop c4 thing was bizarre. But the rook takes c3. I think you should be proud of that because I think there's a lot of Sicilian positions that you just have to be ready to let that bomb loose. You could say to yourself, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I got to do it. Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, that was beautiful. Let's continue with John P. Oh, we still got a couple. Oh, it keeps going, buddy. We're not done.
I'm going to leave you here for a bit, Jesse.
Me?
Yeah. The Chess Dojo team is playing a team battle. And I'm going to go try to add a few points for the team.
You're going to go play on the team? But don't leave me here, man. Don't leave. You want to do one more?
No, I got to. The tournament's starting.
Dang, tournament's starting. All right, I'm going to take a break, too. Kick these earmuffs out of my head here.
All right. Have a good one, Jesse.
All right, bud. All right, my friends. I'm going to see if I can unplug this thing. All right. First question. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? And then next question is, I got to get a drink of water. This is too much over here. Oh, we want to fix that. Oh, Christ. Make it louder. All right. So, next up we have John P. Looks like he joined the dojo pretty recent here. 1510, ready to graduate again. Let's see what clubs John P's got going on. John P joined in as in all kinds of clubs. He's got some games, no games. John P., I want to just say thank you for no games because it's been a long show today, and I don't have that many words left. I just don't have that many words left. You might have noticed Pruess abandoned me. You know. So, very simple, though. You can graduate again once, you know, you feel confident about where you're at. And then, boom, boom, give us a game, Bows. All right, next up we have Scott Johnson, who appreciates the structure of the dojo. Let's go give him a click. Scott Johnson, you're in the wrong cohort, bud. You can go, you're all the way up at 1503, man. Yeah. Now, maybe you felt you weren't there because your USCF and stuff is lower. But there, you're definitely there. Let's give a look. Clubs. No clubs. This guy Scott's been with us for a while, too, here. Not that much activity going on. Games? I played a while back. I'll have to give it a look anyway. So, no clock time. We'll mark it as reviewed. We'll go game review. Let's check it out. Fine. Fine. Poor. Good. Good. Okay. 95. Good move. Good move. A little soft. Queen b6. Rook b1. Queen c2 looks more effective to me, but okay. Rook b1. A little weird. Bishop h5. Okay, I like your position. Let's play f4. Nice move. Now it's time for us to think a little bit. Rook f3. I like it. I like it. Now rook g3. Okay. So I don't understand rook g3. Well, I guess I understand that you're trying to avoid getting your bishop locked. But a couple things here. You want eventually to play g4. So the rook on g3 is in the way of it. So rook h3 is the most basic move to play. You might be able to get away with g4 here. And that's just a might. I don't know. You know, because it would go like this here, and if GF you're fine. If EF, we'll play rook g3. But of course, do I understand exactly what's happening here? Not necessarily. It's a hectic position. I don't know. But we're gonna get this going. In principle, though, yeah, we believe in this for white. Okay, in any case, this is wrong because this is our plan, g4. Good move. That looks poor. Good move. And now you lost your mind. You need to get ready to play g4 here. Poor, and now I guess we're lost. Bishop g5. Can he also just play the simplicissimus, king g7? Snip, snap, queen e8, oh, rook g8, okay. Bishop f4, now we're toast. Bang, okay, we lost. Okay, good game, good game. Hopefully that was helpful in terms of the ideas. Notice one of the cool things about the London is you can often end up with different kinds of structures. So, for example, here we end up with a French structure, right? Okay, so let's go back. And next up we got Jules. And Jules, dude, he's just a graduating machine. He says, note that I've been in this cohort before, so the hours logged will appear higher than expected. Still very happy with the dojo and the structure advised. I find I'm still making too many emotional and intuitive moves. Not sure if there's a way the dojo can help with this. When I follow my pre-move check list, my results are far better. When I get swept up in the game and play by feel, I lose to stupid mistakes. Honestly, you just saying that right there is the most important thing to do. But maybe we can say something more too when we look at a game or two. So, Jules is at 13-12. We just want to say that Jules is crushing with the amount of work he's doing. Look at that. Slaying with the work. And he's been doing it for a while. So Jules is on really cranking it. Cool to see that he's gained, out there to 13-12. And maybe there's no, he had one bad tactics test or maybe a couple. But otherwise, that's consonant with his rating. Okay, clubs. Down under. Right. Games. All right, here we go. I want to do this one because it looks like an OTB. Boom. So do we have times? We got some times. And so Jules is not playing too fast, so that's already a good thing. Good moves. F4. In my course, I have bishop E3. Bishop G4 is kind of like a standard, I don't want to call it, I was going to say I don't want to call it a fish move, but it is a fish move. Because at H3, you're going to get the bishop and develop your queen and stuff. I don't like bishop E2. It's probably fine. I think DC5 is a mistake. Queen A5, exclam. And see, the problem now is that queen's really annoying. E5 doesn't look right. And you thought for 10 minutes on it. Yeah. I'm assuming that DE5 is fine for black. He goes knight D5. And I don't know about knight D5. I don't know about knight D5. It's a hot little tomato. It's a hot tomato. The question would be knight E4, right? That's the question. You took and did C4. That seems to help him back to C5. Maybe bishop C3. I don't know what bishop F5 is doing. So they're not developing. And why are we playing queen B5 check? You're hoping for a cheap shot. Don't hope for the cheap shot, bud. Come on now, Jules. That's what we call playing by feel. Okay, like you said. You're playing by feel. Why aren't we just taking this coconut here? No comprende. Rook D1. Notice, you can castle now. Okay. That's no good. You're not developing. Oh, no. So, look, you're definitely playing a lot of impulsive moves here, Jules, and exactly what you were saying, you're totally right. You're just totally right. You're doing things by feel instead of by calculation. You played for the queen B5 dirty trick before. Yeah. Question chat 1 in 64 says, I see that the previous annotation described the opponent's thought process but didn't really get into alternative lines. I'm also under 1,000. Well, first of all, this is not under 1,000. This is over 1,000. Definitely we should do the player's thought process. Yeah. Yeah. Knight D3. He trades away their advantage. Now, again, when you should tell us what you think they should do, right? Yeah. All right. King G3. Here we go. Rook B8, passive. He did all these attacking moves, and now he goes passive, and now he just loses a piece. Thank you very much. So notice, actually, one of the things to see is we started at the higher rating and then have worked our way down. And this game was a comedy of errors. And black, too, definitely was just not thinking long enough. So, Jules, as to your point, we had a great quote earlier thinking about responsibility for your moves. And I think we want to think about it in terms of responsibility, right? Already right here in this position, we should say black is doing fine for themselves, right? Because they're going to get queen c5 and no problemito. Yeah. Okay, and here also bishop d2. What are we doing? Notice you had a problem with castling. You need to castle, bud, and then you get this position, and you're doing fine. So those are some of the things that you need to be aware of, right, when we're doing this, when we're doing the analysis and also playing the game. Okay, here we go. We'll mark it as reviewed. And we'll go on to Oliver. God, we got a couple left. Kraai, they're killing you. They're killing you, buddy. Wait a second. I feel like I did net Soka yesterday. Could this be? All right. Oliver says, started training in a more measured manner just this month. Already seeing progress. I'm enjoying Reddy's modern ideas and also picking up helpful tips from dojo members. Looking forward to more. Brilliant. Just here. Yeah, this is all correct. So here's Oliver. We're going to give him a follow. Joined the dojo pretty recently, making some gains. 1349. Looks good. Clubs, nothing. Games, nothing. Oliver, we thank you today. There's too many games today. Too many games. I needed a break. But we hope to see some games from you coming up here soon. All right, that was Oliver. Next up, we have Lucky J Lolo, who we've done several times on this show. Lucky J says, the program has been good. The book selection has really elevated my positional knowledge as well as chess enjoyment. Focusing on my studies lately on tactics and endgames, as that seems to be where I need work. I've also recently started being active sparring, and I can already see the educational benefits. All good things, onwards and upwards, and he wants us to look at this game, which we can do. We'll do that when we get there. So, Lucky J. Look at Lucky J, dude. Look at this guy. He is on it, man. He is going for it. Work overnights, lift weights. A lot of weightlifters here. Moving to Washington soon. Okay. Great, dude. Beautiful stuff. All right, so he is crushing it. Does also have a USCF. The tactics rating looks consonant with where he's at. Lifting heavy things. Yep. Better gym lifts for better rook lifts. That's right, buddy. All right, we need more people in that club. All right, so I was going to click on games, but no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paste his game in there. Bang. So this is his game. We got a time graph, and he did much better than his opponent. Yeah, all right. So you're playing at somebody who's playing too fast. Okay, so game review. Fine. Fine. I don't know if it's an error. They played it back in the day. Yeah. So this is a thing usually called the Zaitsev, if I remember right. Now, this position is, fascinating. D5 is in general not what we want to do because you're going to kill your bishop when you do so. So we're going to block your beautiful bishop diagonal. So you talk about knight f1, and I think that's correct, Mundo. Notice that he can't win this coconut because at the end there'll be a bishop d5 thing. So d5, I think that's called, we'll call it a standard mistake, but it's not the end of the world. Knight b8, knight a5 looks more normal to me. Knight d7, that doesn't look right. He needs to play like c6 now. And you said c6, and that's what you were expecting. Good. A4, okay. Could have played A4 last move too. Okay, that's an interesting move. I kind of like A5 too. B3, I don't know, maybe. C5, knight E3. Good, now you're outplaying him. The knight going to C8, that was horrendous. Okay. All right, so now we got this locked thing, and you definitely have the advantage. And now you play knight H4. Maybe. The old timers, they had an idea, a cool idea to play knight H2 to G4 to attack, and that might be more called for here. I think, to me, the big question is, what about G6 now from black? He doesn't do it, though. Queen F3, good move. Now he can't play G6. That doesn't look right. Now you got his choice. You want to take or you want to put on F5? I think putting on F5 certainly looks more natural, but there's going to be questions. Yeah. Going to be questions with the knight F4 move. Well, knight G6 might be an exclam, honestly. Because, look, boom, boom. And you talk about maybe king H2 was better. But it's hectic here. We got G6. G3. Maybe you could do it. I don't know if I get it, though. Like GF5. And then if you want to go here, I go here. It looks like black's okay. Am I freaked out? Yeah, it's scary. But it looks like black's okay. Definitely something to calculate. So these are typical Rui questions. Your default should be taking that knight, though. I think knight G6 and maybe H4 right away. It seems like you're better. Okay, so here we go. Knight G4. He goes snippo pippo. And now he does this, controversial. Because now you can kick him out, but he can't kick you out. Yeah, G3. You just played G3. Very good. And you'd be better. I don't understand knight G6. I definitely don't understand that move. And then this one, oh my God, what are we doing? What are we doing, Bows? What are we doing? And you talk about F4 here. I just want to say I don't know about F4. Because even GF4, what are we doing? You are definitely better here. There's no question. Your king G3 maybe. The problem actually I have with king G3 is like you probably are going to want to play G3 F4 at some point. Let's give your king G3 a chance, honestly. Oh my God, king F3. Look at that, dude. Props, dude, props. Nimzovich would be proud. Nimzovich would be proud, man. Look at that. Okay, H1. V3. I don't know, F3. So, Queen H5 would be the main thing. That doesn't look right. I'm not going to analyze any further until after the graduation, where hopefully one of the GMs could assist me in going further from here. I'd like to do some exploring on my own without an engine. After that, before finally combing through and seeing how some potential playouts for this game could have been. Overall, it was an instructive and long game, but I was okay with the draw. Now, I don't understand H5, by the way, by black. Because, well, it looks like you're just giving up a pawn. But more importantly, it is a real question of how you would break through. if he does nothing. And the problem for us is when we play something like f4, we can potentially free his pieces when we do f4, especially that knight. I thought you might have had a chance with queen h5 in there earlier. But in any case, h5 is, I don't know, that's no good. Oh, and then there's a draw. What happened? What happened to the rest of the game, though, man? Okay. Oh, he's going to continue this one. All right. Now, by the way, we really have a GM level thing going on here in this kind of position because there's a lot of Grui games where we get something that looks like this. And say we go back, and then there's really interesting decisions to be made about how do you play this kind of position, right? And the evaluation for knight h5 depends solely on the question of can you kick him or not. To my mind, I don't think you can. I don't think you're fast enough. But in any case, he didn't punish you for that at all. So I was thinking here, here, and here looked good for you. Prevent g5. You stand a little bit better. Not the end of the world for the guy, though, right? Okay. Whew. That was pretty exciting, man. And good annotations. Very good annotations. Yeah. One thing, too, about the Rui is you don't have to know, like, this is an older system. You know, you could, for example, you can also play rook e8 and avoid h6 because knight g5, you just go back to f8. But this is definitely also a way of doing it. They want to play rook e8 and bishop f8 to strong point the e pawn. Okay, beautiful. All right, so, it's a long graduation today. Next up, we have Eden, who I believe I remember from earlier graduation. Won a quick game this morning, which pushed me into the next cohort bracket, so it's nice to graduate again after about a month. I'll still finish the 1001 Tactics for Beginners since there are masses of patterns in that course that I simply don't recognize. Looking forward to reading another strategy book as I tend to get bored just grinding tactics. And I started on Simple Chess the other day, but I'll switch now to Modern Ideas, which looks interesting as well. We're going to look at your game with Hamish. I skipped my graduation last time. You didn't review me at all. Thumb out. Well, I'm sorry about that. I do my best. Sometimes, like now, I've been streaming here for 3.5 hours, so I'm getting a little, you know what I mean? I might be getting a little. So here we go. 46 years old. I love the old dudes, you know. Let's give him a follow here. And Sarawon books have been growing on him. 1284, but he might graduate again. And doing hectic amounts of tactics over here. Hectic amounts. And you can see here really pushing it here every day. So that's a beautiful thing. And then there's the graduation where I missed him. Sorry about that again. Your tactics looks like you're a little bit better than your rating, so that's a good thing. We're going to look for your game with Hamish. So here he comes. Which looks like an OTB. Favorite game of the tournament. We got a time graph. I know exactly how this happened. There's just a little fudgy-wudgy happened to the first couple moves. But let's ignore that for the moment. We can still admire this time graph. And we're going to say Eden maybe took a little too long, but you can definitely see, more importantly, that his opponent, Hamish, did not use their time. Right? Okay, so let's get after it. Oh, there we go. Now we're playing some man's chess here. Good. I totally approve so far. If you look it up, it's actually high scoring for white and a line apparently not covered by Mark Esserman. So, yeah, there's no refutation, first of all. And knight a5 maybe is some weird computer move, but it doesn't look right to this human, right? Bishop g5. So, probably okay. Now, the problem with bishop takes e7, okay, is you are developing this guy. Now, maybe, like you said, maybe you got this fancy thing going on with knight d5. I don't know yet. I got my questions. Okay, so, again, the problem with bishop e7 is you're developing his coconuts. And knight e7 would also be fine for him. I get it, though. Then what are we doing? Right? What are we doing? So bishop d5 is a natural enough move. Maybe bishop f4 is stronger. Yeah. Okay, this is fascinating. And he takes it. One of the things that I don't understand is if dude just went back like a weenie, do we really have anything? I don't know. He does take queen f6. And then queen e1, thank you very much, right? So, one thing I don't understand from this point of view is if he had taken and you go rook e1, I think he's just winning with knight takes a1. So knight takes b3 would definitely be the first thing that comes to mind. And if queen b3 or whatever, then we can consider king moves. Okay. Queen f6. And now you just win the knight. Thank you very much. I would say this is a winning position even. Yeah, his king is terrible. He's poorly developed. That bishop on b7, I don't even know how it gets out. Now, the stockfish gives d6, and what I want to stress about that move, okay, is it is maybe a little computery, but the big takeaway is we really want to free our business here. I think you're winning no matter what. I don't like this queen d2. Yeah, if you're going to move the queen, put it on c7. Oh my gosh. Now you're making me nervous. g5, right. That's a computer move. Okay, I like 95. I like that move too. Ooh, dang. Yeah. Queen d1. Holy moly, what a game. Knight f7. I give this a question mark not because it's bad per se, but because I think he could have played bishop b7. The weird thing is he's not lost here, is he? He deserves to be lost. How come he's not lost? That should be our question, right? Well, one, we brought the queen back to d2, which wasn't any good. Knight e5 is maybe a good move, you know? And then this g5 thing, that would be next level, of course. That would be a next level kind of consideration. Yeah, you can see that's a very fancy computer line that he's got going on here. Whew. Okay, here we go. White has lost his initiative here. And if we get this happening, good move. Good to bring that guy back. I'm not sure I get knight h4. And now it's just pure heat. I'm calculating like mad to assess my king's safety. It looks like this is going to come apart, though. This was this was a game-losing blunder. Now, one of the bummers is you've gone all in on this move, though, because your knight's already on h4. So it makes no sense unless you crack the g6 square. So whether or not the computer tells you it's right or wrong, if you don't do it, you're toast. You got to do it anyway. And right, the computer finds rook c4, makes a lot of sense, wants to set up this coconut touch here. That's terrible. Check to the miserable king. Beautiful knight. What a knight. Beautiful. And he has to just resign. Okay. That was a great game. And, I think one of the couple key things to see is you're going to get a lot of positions when you play either the Smith-Morra or aggressive openings where you get a position with this one. And here you're completely winning, not only because of the king, but it really is important to see that the guy is strangled here, right? And that you do not want to do things like queen d2. The queen c7 at some point is just going to strangle him, right? Yeah. Okay. So, strangulation. El strangulato. So that's a good position to practice. And, yeah, you're winning here. It's crispy critters. Over. Goodbye. Okay. Good job. So, next up we have Netsoka. Now what's weird is I feel like I just looked at Netsoka yesterday. Could it be true though? Doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem right. Because all these people, no, I still need to do them. There's so many people I still got to do today, but I think I'm losing my mind. So, Netsoka is here and they did it last week. Good. I've been streaming here for almost 4 hours, so I'm glad you're here to set me straight because I'm losing it. So one game brought me up a cohort, and I think the tactic and middle game material on this cohort is a better fit. Hope I finish the annotation of my Cozio Spanish game. I would like to hear your thoughts in general about the Ruy Lopez as black. I started with the Yanish Gambit from Toth's E4, E5 course. Then I got recommended 100 Repertoires Open Spanish of Gladura. So, in general, I feel like it's not going to be about the opening for you right now. That's just going to be my general piece of advice. We will look at your Spanish game, though. Right? So, let's go take a look. You graduated last week. Max crushing. Really beautiful to see you nailing it like this. 12-11, beautiful. And your tactics rating is looking fine. I did start at the top this week. Yeah, I'm scrolling from higher to lower. That's right. So let me just briefly explain why. I usually do it the opposite way in the under 1,000. I've done it the normal way as well in the over 1,000, but I wanted to give more time to those who graduated at the top because those graduations are super hard, man. Those take oftentimes years to make those graduations. So I wanted to make sure I had the energy to do it. I'm still trying to hold that energy here right now too. Now we wanted to find a Muzio game, Netsucker. Which one is it? And we'll just click on one and let's see. If it's not the Muzio, then no, this isn't a Muzio. Let's see this one. Oh, Cozio, excuse me, not Muzio. All right, let's take a look. So, here, time graph. Both people moving too fast, right? Both people moving too fast. This thing about the time usage, by the way, far more important than memorizing all kinds of opening lines. All right, here we go. So, for example, I've seen this before, but I didn't remember it was called the Cozio, right? Is it fundamentally okay? Yes. Yes. And I think a lot of people now play G6 here. Okay. But you go knight G6. And in general, right? Like, I think you're fundamentally fine here, but in general, you're creating a situation where it's unclear why your knight would be better on G6, taking 2 moves to get there than on F6, right? And now you say that knight C3 is the best response. Honestly, D4 has to be a fine move for white. Knight d5, weird. So why is it weird? Well, it's not a developing move. Castle's good move. And by the way, this is an example of the opening stuff. When you're at this level, your opponents are not going to be doing normal things. They're going to be losing tempi, doing weird things. A6, fine. Okay, fine. Good. Good. Weird. Knight b4. What is he doing? Knight b4 is very frisky because what do you might lose that knight, buddy, or it's just gonna get tortured. Okay, I definitely don't want you to play bishop takes b4. You play bishop b6. Knight b4, let's just talk about it. It's a really nasty move. Knight e3 would be normal. Okay, and by the way, I like your position after knight e3. I think you're doing fine. But knight b4, brother, brother. So let's just talk about basic things you got going. You could play bishop b7, threatening a5. You could play a5 directly. You could play queen e7, just developing and touching the nut. If he goes here, you just got to celebrate a little bit. You'd be like, I don't know what you're doing over there, right? Yeah. So, bishop b6. Why is it a mistake? The biggest reason is it's not developing. Knight g5, totally superficial, right? Totally. f6, no need. The knight's not going anywhere. Uh-oh. Now, let me just say, this guy, maybe he can do this to us, right? Maybe. But the issue is he has this terrible piece that can be lost at any moment. So it's probably not going to work for him. All right. So rook e8, knight f4, boom, boom, g3. Now, is the knight going to be toast? I don't know. We're going to have to look. Okay. I think the knight's gone, honestly. Rook e5, boom, boom. And now you played rook g5, which I don't get. Okay. Queen e7, king g2, queen f7. Looks great, dude. Queen g4. And you talk about d6, queen f3, but I don't understand. You're winning the coconut. You're winning the coconut, right? Okay. So, a couple things to see about this. So I did this course on Chessable. It was all taken from dojo games, very similar to this, where somebody gave away incredible amounts of time. And white has given away a lot of time. We've given away some time too with moves like bishop b6. And then knight g5 is just like a move. He doesn't know what to do. So he's like vaguely threatening something. And so falling for it, you know, obviously we wouldn't want to fall for it, but I don't know that he has done himself a favor here, see? I think you're winning this thing with this queen e7, queen f7. That's what it looks like to me anyways. That's not good. All right, rook ad1. a5, good. Now the knight is really, really hammered. Knight c3. And now you played d6. Okay. Good move, d4. Good move. You're trying to get frisky. Now, the problem with this move, c5, okay, is that he wants the position to open for his rooks, unfortunately. That's what he would like. So he's got a number of good moves. Knight c3, d5, c3 takes is maybe fine. He's getting frisky. So king h2, yeah, so like a computer might play this way, but I'm already for white. I'm like, Bows, why are you weakening your business so much? Good move. I'm not sure I get queen h5. Good move. You're just making active moves here. Rook f1. That's terrible. Now, I just want to stress, you're going to win a lot of games like this. It's going to be a little harder now because you're going to advance, right? You're going to advance and be tougher people. But let's just look. Time graph. This guy is basically not thinking. This is a really hard position. But instead, what he's doing is he's making impulsive moves, right? Completely terrible. Completely terrible. All right, so here we go. You say thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, and now we have an interesting posizione. And you played queen f7. Something I want to stress here is you stopped thinking here. I can see it on the time graph. It even goes up a little bit here. I just want to stress this position is very complicated, right? Very complicated. I don't know. To my mind, we have like a brief moment here to mess with him. Like a brief moment. And we really don't want to let this knight come back into the game. So for example, b4 is definitely a move for us, okay? To stop the knight from coming back. I think then he might continue this way, and I don't know, it's hard to evaluate. Definitely something we need to think about. Queen f7, this lets the knight back in. All right. King f7, good move. Terrible. Why is it terrible? He's just making random threats, right? Auf Deutsch, oberflächlich, right? Boom. And he's not thinking, he's not using his time. Good move. I don't know what he's doing. Thank you very much. Good move. Good. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Good. Easy chess. Whew. Well, first of all, Netsoker, I was afraid of knight h7, but I just, it's a question of analysis. I'm not sure the knight's getting out. And again, one of the things I want you to see is your opponents are going to do a lot of superficial play with you. And one of the reasons it's not believable is just because this knight is out to lunch. If this knight were anywhere close to your king, let's put him here, then I think he's going to mate you. Okay? He's going to mate you. But yeah, this is no bueno. So again, you're going to face a number of opponents here who are going to give you time in the opening. And so forget about I don't know, you don't have to forget about it, but it's not the opening course stuff that you need to worry about. It's like they are going to give you time. They're going to play superficial moves like this guy. And then we want to hurt them badly. Okay, well done. Let's continue. Next up, we have B. Burks, who has also graduated numerous times. ChessDojo has completely changed my relationship with chess. I no longer chase rating points or care what my online rating is. Put time in studying, playing, analyzing. The rating follows. When I started in the dojo, I was in the 900 to 1,000 cohort. Worked my way up to 12 to 13. Then the cohorts were redone, and I dropped back down to 1,000, 1,100. Now I'm back to 12, 13. Altogether, that is 5 graduations, and it is all from focusing on trusting the program and not worrying about the number. My one suggestion for improving the program is that blunder games need to continue beyond the 1,000 rating. Blunder games are like 15-minute games where we're just asking you not to hang your stuff. I've been playing in 2 round robins simultaneously, the one below my rating range and the one above it. I have won every game that I've played in the 1,000, 1,100 tournament due to my opponent blundering a piece early. The 12 to 1,300 players rarely do that. Well, now, first of all, B. Burks, you playing in these round robins, amazing. And you got to stop being little bunny foo-foo, snapping off the field mice and bopping them on the head over there in that lower cohort. Give them a break, bud. They're tired of you being the bully, going down to their schoolyard and slapping them around all the time. Okay? Yeah. Now, the 1,000, 1,100, yeah, they need to slow down, and they have a lot of the problems that the people under 1,000 do. That's certainly true. Okay, let's go. So, grew up casually playing with my dad, right? Married twice, had 5 children. Dang. Oh, no. Dude, how do you have the time? B. Burks, dude. Wow. Teach at a school, started up a club. Okay, this is beautiful. So, Northwest Indiana, South Chicago suburbs, there he is. Beautiful times. And he's putting in the work, and it's happening. 1240, dude, he's going to graduate again. All right. And the tactics, something happened. With both the checkmate test and the tactics test, he's been struggling. Okay. So, let's go clubs. Indiana, Chicago, makes sense. Heat map heroes. He's definitely a heat map hero. Let's see if we got a game here. All right. So, this is one of our longer games, maybe a dojo game. ChessDojo 12 to 1300. Okay, looks good. Do we have a time graph? We do. B. Burks, I just want to say, your opponent, you should tell him, Kraai says, you move too fast. Your time graph is looking great, bud. All right. So, F3, E6 per the dojo course. Okay, good move. Fine. This looks okay. I'm a little confused. Couldn't we also just take this thing? As long as they can't play Fe, which I don't think they can, for 2 reasons, then I think we should do it. Okay, so now he goes French, and now you're just in a great position to do it. So good move. Oh, I don't like that. I was worried about the pin, but yeah. So in this position, you either want to play castles, knights, c5 or knight f5. All those seem fine to me. That looks poor. Good, probably a good move. c5, good. Knight b5, that isn't it. a6, good move. Bang, bang, bang. Your opponent's moving too fast. Castle's great. Knight e2. Okay, c takes d4, probably okay. The controversy is we're letting that knight fix itself, but I think you're doing great. Beautiful play. Great. Great. I think you're just winning. That's not it. Thank you. Thank you. Totally winning. Simple chess. Good move. You don't like it. I was impatient to get my bishop finally into the game. You're winning this position. I wouldn't want to make it complicated. Bishop e4. Now, taking, though, I don't like. Let's just put our rook right here. And you put it in, he can't take. We'll play rook c7 next, rook fc8, and then we say, welcome to the dojo. That's that simple. Right? Welcome to the dojo. You're still winning, but now maybe you're still fine. You're doing great here. I like maybe rook c5 or rook c7 here. Pressure the c2 weakness. So you lost the tempo. Okay. Good. You're still crushing. I don't know if you need that. Clock is down to 10 minutes. Getting anxious. Queen c5. You're doing fine. That's weird. Okay, good. I'm glad that happened. Good. Good. Oh, yeah, baby. There we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the dojo, buddy. Welcome to the dojo. Well done. Yeah. So you had a dojo repertoire. It looked fine. Your opponent, what did they do? They gave you time. What do we consistently see at this level? They're not necessarily going to hang too many pieces, but they're going to give you tempi like a madman. Right? Not developing. Okay, B. Burks, that was great, dude. That was great. I think, too, for an opening where it feels like you understood the basics of it, you don't have to go too deep. And you just like that course I created. Beautiful. You don't need all that much. Okay, now we have no Aji. I remember no Aji. So we're going to go over here. So, I don't know if they've got too much. They've been graduating. They're in the wrong cohort, though. He's at 1161. He's got some games, but they're a while back. So I'm gonna skip this one, Noaji, just because I don't think you're in the right cohort here. All right, so then we got Nemo, and we got a couple more to do here, Kraai. Jesse, you're gonna, I don't know, man, it's the longest ever. Still enjoying the dojo program. It helps me keep it simple and eat my vegetables. Polgar book is a prime example. Doing a few mate twos every day made a huge difference in my game. In particular, shorter time controls and playing slower online games in the dojo round robin. Last year, my brain melted in that tournament. All right, this year I was able to play reasonable chess even on the third game of the day. Beautiful. Okay. Nemo's done a lot of work to get here. Graduated already several times, but Nemo, yeah, you're doing fine, and you might graduate again here. Look at this heat map. Nemo is doing it. He just started playing in late 23, and look at this progress, dude. He is slaying it. Oh man, it's a beautiful thing. He joined the dojo, and then he's graduated 3 times. You can see it right there. Clubs. Loads of dope. He's in Japan, maybe. Games. I would be intimidated playing a dude named Sake. All right. Beautiful time graph, Nemo. Beautiful. Very good. That's what we want to see. All right. Let's go game review. G4. That's the famous Grob opening. Good move. Now, this move here is generally thought to be a mistake, Bishop G4. Is it actually a mistake? Maybe not. Good move. This is their thing. Good move. Good move. And now, I guess you're fine, honestly. Okay, so you're doing fine here. Good move. Maybe we're not doing fine. Here we go. I think we're doing fine. Rook C8. Check to the queen. And now bishop C5. You talk about a couple different things. And the amazing business here is this guy is just hanging onto his coconuts with queen A8, knight B5 with this problemito. It's unfair. Now, let me just stress, White has played with fire here. It's not just that their queen's in trouble, but their development is in big trouble. And knight C5 is something the computer comes up with. I like what you did, honestly. Or at least I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't mind it. Boom, boom. You trade queens. Now, should we trade queens? That's another question. You will still have a nice position. Ooh, okay, this was an important one. I was really hoping you played king e7. So you're going to undevelop your king here when you go castles. FC1, good. If there's a way for him to not do that castles, then that's a good thing. All right, rook C2, and you call that a mistake. And you want to do bishop F3 first. Boom. Knight D4. Yeah, so it looks like you got tricked by knight D4. Now, I definitely do not want to play... Actually, you're right. Good analysis. Because you always have knight E5 to follow it up with. And I think maybe you missed this. Dang, that looks mean. I'm probably dead here, huh? I didn't understand that. I thought he had a good idea with pushing that pawn. I thought that was pretty good. Okay, rook c6, good move. Now his pieces are a little funny. Let's go knight e5. Oh. Knight e5. Now, you are probably lost, but at least with the knight on e5, you'd be threatening some stuff. Yep. Yep. And he got you. Okay. So, first of all, Nemo, we got to say, you were playing a much higher rated player, and you were doing great, dude. You were doing great, and they got way too frisky here. Way too frisky with this business. Just in principle, you should say to yourself, I am doing fine here. Right? Absolutely fine. And this kind of stuff, too freaky. Yeah, I really mistrust this for white. Also, queen b8 looks hard for what to believe for white. Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great. His development is so poor. His king, long-term problem. So, trading the queens was unfortunate. Okay, let's continue. Next up, we have Krebstar. Krebstar says, graduating back to the cohort I originally started in, huzzah. What was the most helpful? The structure, of course. Weekly planner has been amazing, as has the suggested tasks new algorithm. Did a lot of non-dojo tasks the last few weeks, but that's honestly because I knew graduation was looming and I didn't want to purchase another book. I've graduated once before, but had no games annotated, but I do have some now and will have many more in the future. Onward. Okay, beautiful. God, this one turned into an epically long graduation show, my friends. All right, Omaha, Nebraska. I say Nebraska's one of the few states I've never played a chess tournament in. 12-20, so he's ready to graduate again, honestly. He's doing a lot of work. And then we can look at clubs. Nebraska Dojo, we got 3, buddy. All right, that's what I want to see. 3 in the dojo over there in Nebraska. So, YOLO Swaggins. I like that name, YOLO Swaggins. So he's been reading Logical Chess move by move. Here is our time graph, and oh no. They aren't thinking at all. Nobody's thinking in this one. As we go down, this is what we see, is the lower the rating, the faster people are moving. So far, you're playing GM level chess. Okay. Poor. Should take on c3. Why? Because now he just lost the tempo. Okay, I like it. Okay, I'm fine with that. Good move. Good move. Good move. By the way, this I want to say is a pretty high-level game to my mind. You guys are playing all good moves, and knight f8 is a very mature move. Now, queen c2, good. I don't know about bishop g4. Queen g5, I think that's superficial, queen g5. And you play a great move here, dude, g3. Fantastic, fantastic move. Full props, because you want to hit him with f4, f5. Now, it is a little complicated at the moment, because couldn't dude now play knight e6? And then f4, we still play f4. Very good, we still play f4. Okay. Bishop h3, superficial. f4, nice. Queen g6, that wasn't it, bows. Now, if YOLO Swaggins had taken a little more time, maybe he wouldn't have had that little blundericious thing happen to him there. So, by the way, I think g3, f4 shows great positional understanding of what to do in this kind of situazione. Here, you want to roll him. So even if he had played queen h5, obviously much better than what he did, but you are going to have f5, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Okay, well done. Next up, we have Rednick. We got two more here to go. I'm losing my mind. Got a nice rating bump after winning the Farham under 1600. That's taken me over the graduation. I'm going to have to pass out after this. So, ECF 1180. Good that you also have an OTB rating. I can see you're doing some work here. Just joined fairly recently. Oh, there was a fail here. There's been some tactics fail, so maybe that's something to work on. Clubs, English, and tell it, oh, maybe he's in London. Maybe there's no rednecks in London, but come on now. Or maybe it's just a different meaning in England, You might have red hair. My name might be Nick. Red Nick. All right, so this is looking like a very good start to the dojo. And this looks like a OTB game. Do we have times? Now, you just joined. You can bring in the times. It's very possible to do, but you, of course, have to write down your times as you're playing the game. It will help you slow down that process. Anyways, something to think about for the next time. E4. B3, a little weird. Good move. Poor. Giving up his center pawn, giving your knight the C6 square. A lot of people who are Caro players are like, oh, I don't play the French because that gives me a bad bishop, but they themselves have a bad knight, and white just fixed that bad knight. Good move. Poor. Good move. Good. Solid. Very simple and strong. Frisky. Okay. And now bishop b4. I like it. Yeah. Knight g6, not good. FG, what are we doing, buddy? Whoa! We take this away, man. Come on. What are we doing here? F3, okay. So notice, this person you're playing against is not developing. Castles. Bishop b5. This was a mistake. I'd be quite happy with that trade, and it's not a pin, so this just lost time. Now, it also loses the game, I think, because you could have played queen a5 now, and there's a lot of coconuts that are being touched. This is definitely a mistake. Now the pressure, now it's a pin and win. Now it's a pin and win. Good move. Simple. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, time to resign. Okay. Well, you're just killing people here. And that guy was kind of high rated. So, well, this would be very useful to see the time graph, because this time control says 2 hours plus 30 seconds, and it felt to me like your opponent was just not thinking at all. At all. Very impulsive moves. Okay, I think we have just one more, my friends, and that's Joshua. Let's go give Joshua a click. Joshua's graduated before, I remember. Joined about a year ago. 1136, doing great. Clubs. Asian Dojo. Okay. Now, do we have some games? We got loads. All right. Let's do this one. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Do we have time graph? We do. Now, we're hoping that at move 40 it was all decided, because these people stopped thinking at that point. All right? You can see that little time graph here. It looks like they stopped thinking. My first ever 90 plus 30. Okay, here we go. Fine, fine, fine. Bishop f4 is definitely a little weird. He takes the pawn, and this is your engine line, buddy. Look at that. Check. Oh, yeah, I think I've seen this before, dude. I think I've seen this before. Yeah, I think this might even be in my course, Babus. My preparation ended here. Well, the game's over. The game's over. Look at this. He played all that as the preparation, man. Dang. G6. Okay. That isn't it. Check to the miserable king. Now he played C3. Okay, I'm okay with C3. Let's take that pawn. Oh, you don't want it. Why aren't we taking the pawn? An opposite colored bishop ending. White should be winning, but why didn't we take the pawn? You're worried about rook d8, I guess. I see. Okay, couple things. First of all, it is pretty hot, and this would be the kind of position we'd want you to spend some good time on, both during the game and after. Bishop h6 turns out to be kind of a clever move because he's hunting your d2 square. Do I think this is winning? It should be winning. Yeah. Okay. I see how this happened. I think rook e7 should be winning. I don't know about king e2. I know g4 is completely wrong. You need to start playing over here. a4. Good move. Okay. c4. This move showed my lack of knowledge in these endings. This move lost white's advantage completely due to two reasons. Never put the pawn in the same color of your bishop. Very nice. That's true. So you talk about bishop g4. I think a4 makes a lot of sense to me. Bishop g4 is fine too. Right now it's a little tricky, isn't it? I definitely want you to play a4. I don't understand bishop b2 either, right? As you point out, yeah. I think that bishop should stay there as long as possible, honestly. Good move. Good move. Are we winning this? Oh my gosh, what a mess. This looks winning, huh? Okay, well done. Well done. Oh, it was a hard day for me. It's a long, dude. That was a long stream, man. Dang, that was a long stream. Okay, my friends, I am done. Finito de la Commedia, toast. That was a long, long stream. I'll be back next week. I think David is playing in the Elite Chess Tournament right now. You guys could go check that out. I gotta go do life.